What do we got here? Wow. So
600.
new
You hear
update,
the DJ
yeah,
there.
New update there for 625,000
in the 5 years, and that's not counting today's. 87 people. This is Melissa. I just happened to see
Renzi.
that name tag.
She'll be on the yellow.
Melissa is the parent of a Special Olympics athlete, J.J. Justice. He's going to participate in one of those school events I talked about. We were in soccer season for our schools. Students participate in the motor activity training program, which is sort of like a recreational therapy program where they are coached in an event or an activity that they can do to the best of their ability. It's very individualized. We have our young athletes program for children ages 2 to 7. And then we have our traditional skills events. And then we have 5-on-5 unified soccer, which we've talked about, introducing kids without disabilities to the world of Special Olympics at a very young age. And so we look forward to that. We have one event down and 3 to go for that.
So joining Melissa Renzi is Nikkie Burnett, who was scheduled to go at 12:40, so she's catching up a little bit. And she, maybe it was taking a lot to get to this point.
You can
looks
see
like
Nikkie
it.
there. She looks a little bit nervous, as we often see people. Nikkie is a friend of J.J. Justice, so she is going down with Melissa. Melissa giving her the thumbs up there. And again, one of the reasons they might have been waiting is the two of them want to go together and may have come separately. Nikkie works for Brandywine Smyrna Incorporated. It's her first time going over, but JJ is her inspiration. She's scared of heights. So again, another one. There has to be at least a dozen people today who have gone over who are scared of heights. And her theory is friends don't let friends repel alone. So she's going to go with Melissa Renzi. Melissa has done this 4 times, or this will be the 4th. So a little bit different situation there. And sometimes that's a good thing. We saw that with a couple other things where you had somebody, a veteran edger, going with somebody who was brand new, doing it for the first time. And you sort of, forget once they're on the side of the building. Once you're on the side of that building, I don't want to say you're on your own because the techs have complete control of you and are there to support you. But at that point, you're not thinking about, geez, I'm going down with this experienced edger or my friend or my husband or whatever. Your goal is to enjoy the event and to get to the bottom safely, which everybody has done forever. But it's certainly, I think, the time when it would help the most for somebody who has gone through it. And I know this kind of helped me. As I mentioned, all of our staff, somebody from our staff does this event every year. We raise the $1,100 at least and go over the edge. And 4 people, maybe now 5 people had done it before it was my turn to do it. And I know what helped me was kind of talking to them about, and I think that is J.J. Justice. If I'm pretty sure that is J.J. Justice there, waiting for Mom to get to the bottom. And so one of the things that helped me was the fact that I had staff members to talk to about what the experience was like and the realistic experience, not just, hey, it's a great event, but, here's the hardest part. Here's where I had the most anxiety, that type of thing. And so Nikkie Burnett going over for the first time and somebody who is scared of heights going with Melissa Renzi. And it will be interesting to see. Nikkie is kind of turned. Jimmy, it looks, and I don't want to interrupt you. I know you're busy. It looks like she is making that turn to be the first edger of the day to go over what we're going to call face out. We're not going to call it face first. That sounds like she's going to fall face first. And that's
she didn't
not
look
the case.
comfortable with doing this at all, so I don't know.
And this might be...
maybe this makes her feel better.
And I told you earlier, Danny Hall, who's done it for 6 years, petrified of heights, was just as nervous yesterday as he was in year 1, if not more nervous. As he says, I get smarter as I get older. I think I'm nuts for doing it. He thought this was great, that basically instead of going rear end first and backing off the ledge, which is how I did it, and everybody else had done it up to this point, she looks like she may be going kind of where you sit and you go one leg over, sort of like you're going to jump off the top of a fence at home. That's if you don't hurdle the fence or the top of a building. And you get yourself, you kind of scoot off. And we were kind of joking because I mentioned my colleague Kylie Frazer is going over in a little bit. And she said, she made the comment, I think you'd have to push me off at this point. Yeah. And my other colleagues who have done this agreed. And
oh, boy.
She's got, there she goes.
Oh, boy.
And so there for the
just
first time.
Hop off.
You hop your rear end off and you start. And she seemed, in
That
her
seems
mind, maybe
easier,
it seems,
actually, yeah.
and you know what? It seems, I think maybe you have more control because you're not making that. You're controlling when
I
you
see
go.
that.
You're scooting off, and you're doing it slowly. Whereas
It's not blind steps.
exactly,
Right.
and like you're going to see, Melissa is going over the traditional way, where she's just going to lean back.
Yep.
And once you lean back, you're going. And she's still not at that point because she's still, well, you know what? If she wasn't hooked to that rope, she'd be going, going. So she's her balance, her way to balance has transferred back, and then she's just going to slowly make it. And there you can see, she's pulling that slow. Here's somebody who's done it 3 times,
Yep.
and you can tell, she's not really nervous, but there still is that anxious moment of I'm getting ready to back away, and now she is. She's at that point where she is at the mercy of the rope and how she slowly pulls herself down. In which she goes there, a little bit of a smile. I think that's the best picture you can get, is that shot of, boy, look how high you are. Look at the building in the background. And now she goes inch by inch. So Melissa Renzi going down, and she's employed by Brandywine Smyrna Incorporated. As I mentioned, she's the mom of J.J. Justice, who you saw just a minute ago. It's her 4th year. She's never done anything this crazy, she says. She wants to thank her friends and family who are always there for her and her family, and, of course, all the employees at Brandywine Smyrna. Now, here's a adventure for you. Nikkie, who was scared of heights, never done this, first one to go over face forward today. She has been parasailing. You're the water guy, Jimmy. Can't wait to. You love to snorkel. You can't wait to scuba dive. Would you parasail?
I think because you fall into water. If you do, I think
there's
so.
sharks in that water.
Yeah, well,
no matter
I'm
where
already
you
scubaing and snorkeling with them, so why not dive
That's
right
true.
into their habitat from whatever hundreds of feet in the air?
Right. I think I would parasail on a lake. I don't even know if there is such a thing.
Yeah,
but
right.
Land in the water and there's no sharks. That's kind of my boundaries there. And as I mentioned,
I'll do that. I could do that.
There's somebody who has been swimming with sharks, and I definitely want to get that person in here to talk about that. As you said, it's a big difference when you're swimming with sharks when you're in a cage or the sharks are in a cage, and if you're swimming where you can reach out and touch them. So we will see. This is Nikkie Burnett and Melissa Renzi heading down over the edge right now. If you're just tuning in, this is the live stream for the 2016 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. And that is Melissa on the left and Nikkie on the right. Friends, Melissa is a parent of a Special Olympics athlete. We are at the 300 Delaware Avenue building in Wilmington. We're a little bit more than halfway, I think, through our broadcast. At the end of the day, 87 people will have gone down. 9 went down yesterday as part of Media Day. It was a combination of media folks and a couple police officers, and a married couple who's done it before was not able to do it today, and fortunately we had a couple slots available for them yesterday. Everybody who goes has raised at least $1,100 for the opportunity to rappel 17 stories, 222 feet down this building. Marianne Evans, a 6-time person, 6-time edger, that's the technical term for somebody who rappels, raised more than $3,500 by herself. Delaware Tech Community College, there are 4 people who went down, 1 from each of the college, and Dr. Mark Brainerd raised $7,500 for Special Olympics Delaware. Again, if you want to shout out to somebody who's either already gone over, it's not too late, we'll get it out there, and they'll know when they watch the replay that you did, or is going over, or will go over. Just please use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE so we can make sure it'll come up on our Twitter feed, and we'll get it out there for you. Governor Marketplace is shouting out to Connor again. I'll repeat that one. We're all watching and waiting for you to go over the edge at the office. We're proud of you, Government Marketplace. And our numbers, we have already surpassed last year's viewing numbers of 1,800 and some. So we are currently at 2,088 people who have watched this. That's more than 200 more than last year, and we've still got at least 3 hours to go. So we are excited about that. We thank you for tuning in. And again, the biggest favor you can do us is to continue to send this out on your social media channels so people can tune in and see it and hopefully want to be a part of this great event, the 6th annual event. Next year it's going to be on May 11th, 2017. So if you're interested in doing it, you can mark your calendars. Go to the SODE.org website. there's a link. Click on the Over the Edge link on the home page, and you'll see a link on the next page as to how you can get more information. Photos from today's event will be available on the website. It usually takes us several days to get them all back from what's at least half a dozen volunteer photographers, probably more here today. Jimmy will have the video up first thing tomorrow morning, broken into at least 3, maybe 4 segments, so you can find the person who, if you didn't get to see it, you can find the person.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best in the description to write who went as well.
Perfect.
So that way you should see your person's name. Yeah.
And we'll get that up and loaded so you can see that as well. Again, thank you to WSTW, who was here this morning doing their live remote. They went on the air at 5:30 this morning. They were here at 4:30 setting up, and so it's not easy when you go do a remote out of the studio, and so we really do appreciate them doing that for us. And Joe Allen, of course, of the Wake Up Crew with Nancy Johnson. Joe Allen went over the edge. Melissa Renzi on the left, Nikki Burnett on the right. And we talked earlier in the broadcast, but again, with the audience constantly changing, this is not a race. There is no time limit. You're not judged.
Maybe a race between them.
It could be, and in this case, it's probably not because you got a first timer and a fourth timer. But we have had people who have said we're going to race you to the bottom or that type of thing.
It's not,
and you can't go as fast as you want because it does lock up. And again, I believe that is J.J. Justice, Melissa's son, who is kind of the honorary rope holder, we're going to call it. And he's helping Mom out. What a great picture that is. And he's swatting whoever that is out of the way. Not sure who that is. But he's having a lot of fun out there. If you're in the area or you're watching this in the area, you stop by. TD Bank is hosting a fun festival outside with lots of giveaways, music, free hot dogs and pretzels last time I checked, as long as supplies last. So make sure you stop by and grab a bite to eat or just watch this. You know, this is something that even if you don't know who's going over the edge or who's coming down, it's still – I was amazed at the number of people yesterday, Jimmy, when I was outside, and nobody was coming down the edge, but the ropes were hanging off the building.
People were looking at it.
People were stopped and looking at it, you know. And
it's a really – like when I – because I was a little unsure about my directions. If I couldn't remember which way I went on Delaware Ave, wherever I was coming from. But it came back to me, and I saw the building, and I saw the stuff at the top, and I went, wow, I've found my way here. I'm good. But you're right. I mean, it's with all the stuff down at the base, the stuff hanging off the sides, the giant tripods on the top. It's not a normal visual of a corporate building. Yeah, in Wilmington, correct. So, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad it's something. People don't come down the side of buildings
very often. Only in cartoons or superhero movies.
You stop and watch, yeah.
And it always is neat when you see somebody like Nikki who, looked nervous at the top, but she was the first one again today who went face out first and kind of nudged herself off rather than just pushing or not. You don't even push backwards. You kind of sit, and that's the best way I can describe it. It's that they basically tell you now just sit down, and then you sit, and now you're at the mercy of the rope. And then you just keep going and hand wave there from Melissa Renzi. Nikki looks like she's going to keep both hands on the rope for the rest of the way down. And can't blame her for that.
She'll wave when she gets the bottom.
I'm trying to remember whether I waved. I know my wife and my one son Tyler was at the bottom, and I believe I waved to him. But I can tell you it wasn't from the 16th floor. I think I was right about where these guys are, getting ready to go over that ledge when I thought, you know what, now's the time to wave. And the nice push off there by Melissa. So Melissa has just finished her fourth, or is finishing up her fourth, and she did a nice job keeping Nikki alongside of her. And Nikki, I'm sure, is going to breathe a sigh of relief. And as Marianne Evans said, it doesn't matter how many times you do this, you are relieved when you get to the bottom.
Yeah.
As big as the thrill is, and as much as you do it, and the excitement about it, you are relieved when you do get to the bottom. And I remember that feeling. And I don't know when I don't know if I'll do it again, just because of my responsibilities in here and on media day. And, but you do it and you wonder, this might be the only time I've ever done this, but I did it. And it is a great feeling.
It's not a lot of people don't do it twice.
No, right.
Let alone once. So.
And sometimes it's not because they didn't like it. They just, they do have to raise $1,100, which, it's not like signing up for a $25 race. And so a lot of people do. It's a one-time thing. But we are, and I've mentioned this before, we are we've been told that we have one of the highest repeat rates, as J.J. Justice gets a high five from Mom.
That's
and a
awesome.
Blown kiss, and there a kiss on the lips from Mother Son. What a great picture that is there, and that's exactly why Melissa and all 87 people who are doing it today and the more than 535 people who have done this in the 6 years do it. It's for Special Olympics Delaware and the athletes that we serve. Nikkie Burnett, a friend of Melissa Renzi and J.J. Justice, and that's why she does it. And she's, as we say, friends don't let friends plunge alone. Friends don't let friends rappel alone, and that's exactly what Nikkie said there. So Nikkie and Melissa are on the ground.
I didn't realize that they color coordinated until just now.
They did, yeah. We've had a couple people. Marie and her friend Diane did the same thing. They were both in pink. And that takes us to page 2. If you're just tuning in to the live stream of the 2016 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware, sponsored by TD Bank, Brandywine Realty Trust, and Newcastle County, Fire Services. We are more than halfway through, but still with plenty of people to go here. Louise Doe is coming up, Connor Freeman, Steve Cason, Stacey Dedinas, Chris Truano, Valerie Dodson.
Got Connor Freeman on the yellow line.
All right, Connor Freeman is ready to go.
And we'll see who this is.
Connor, again, got that shout-out from Governor Marketplace. Must be an employee there, I assume. Let's see if we can find that information. Yes, Government Marketplace, LLC. He heard about the opportunity in the program and thought it was a great idea. He's never edged before. He's looking forward to experience an unforgettable moment for an unforgettable cause. Unique opportunity here.
Louise Doe is on.
She's the other one.
Blue.
So we're back in order here and catching up. There's a nice picture there of Melissa and Nikkie and JJ. Big smiles. That's a great photo there. That's why we do it, folks. That's why folks pay the $1,100, not only for this experience, but for the athletes of Special Olympics Delaware. Great job by our videographer out there getting that picture. There you see Louise Doe getting ready to go down with Connor Freeman. Louise works for Hagley Museum and Library. She's the Visitor Services Manager. She's a volunteer with the Newark Dragons, one of our 5 area programs for Special Olympics. If you're wondering how people compete in Special Olympics, they do it one of 2 ways. They're either involved in their school or they're involved in the area program. Schools obviously are limited to kids who go to that school. Area programs are open to anyone ages 2 and older. We have young athlete programs for kids ages 2 to 7. And then we have sports for every ability level once they turn 8 years old until they are in their 70s or 80s. There is no upper age limit to be part of Special Olympics. We have another whitewater rafter, Louise Doe. The whitewater rafter. My guess is she did it for real, unlike me, who you claim did not do it for real.
All right, well, I don't want you to be like mad that I don't think you doing it in like a pool was the worst.
Makes it sound like it's a carnival ride, like we were on a track.
Yeah, well,
you know, that we were. Let me tell you, we were one step shy of being on a track. But no, it was. I mean, I got out of that ride down there in the whitewater rafting. And I kind of said, I'm not sure I would do it for real. I mean, it was that kind of, it was exciting. I did enjoy it, but it was a little scary. So Louise Doe is making that step back. She got going pretty quickly there for a first timer. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
She wasted no time. Connor Freeman, let's get back to him. He would like to go skydiving in the future. He wants to thank Government Marketplace, LLC. I guess they helped him with his fundraising there. He wants to raise awareness about Special Olympics. And he's inspired by the athletes that our organization serves. You can see him getting set to go here. Government Marketplace just tweeted, "We are honored to sponsor Connor and the Special Olympics Delaware." Again, if you want to send us a tweet, use #OverTheEdgeDE so we see it. We'll talk about it on the air. We'll give a shout-out to whoever you're talking about, and they'll hear it when they watch the replay themselves. Going over the edge, special thanks to Governor Marketplace for sending us a couple tweets to give over the air. And there goes Louise Doe. She's kind of tiptoeing her way down, but that's what I did. I tiptoed down and gave me an opportunity to enjoy it a little bit. And I can tell you I was a little worried about locking up, but I did lock up. And then once I realized how quickly and easily it was to get unlocked, which they basically they show you during the training, but it's one of those things. And Joe Allen from WSDW, when he was on with us about what's now been about 2 hours ago, he said that you forget what they tell you because you go through that 20-minute training of this is this is that, this is that, and then you get up on the roof and it's like everything. It's like starting over. But that's what a great job these techs do. Is you can see how comfortable and how confident the people are. People who have Connor's a first timer. Louise was a first timer. She got going right away. Connor's already passed the hardest part, which is sit down and start moving. And that's exactly what he's doing. And so the techs here, like I said, with 6 years, we've never heard a negative thing about any of the techs. In fact, quite the opposite. A lot of times you figure if no news is good news, but people have gone out of their way to praise the techs and the job that they have done and do for the people.
They got to make you feel comfortable. I mean, a lot of these moments are very memorable, and some of them you kind of block out, which is, I think, why, even repeat people, there's a little bit of hesitation because I don't remember this part. Right. I didn't remember it this way. But it's good to hear that people who, I don't want to say your life's not in their hands. It's way beyond their control because everything's been secured in every way possible. But they still have to make you feel good in that moment when you're very scared at the top. I mean, it's almost like a negotiation at the top to try to get you to go over sometimes. So we see a lot of some counseling almost going on at the top.
And we saw that last year. You remember that woman who I think was at the top for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
She was visibly nervous, and the techs talked her through it, and they got her to go over the edge. And when she was done, she was thrilled about it and thrilled about the experience. But if you don't have a trained professional and a real people person, and let's not forget, but let's forget about for just a second the technical aspect. These guys have to be people persons.
For sure.
You're dealing with 87 different personalities in one day of different degrees of experience, nervousness, et cetera, ages, physical abilities.
It's still an entertainment.
Yeah, it's an entertainment
business.
business.
So as a person, it's still entertainment.
Yep.
It may think of that weird, like as a movie or TV is entertainment. No, this is still something you're doing to have fun.
Yep, and that's what it is.
Yeah. So you have to be good with people.
And if you don't enjoy the experience, if you have a bad experience other than the rappel, you're probably not going to come back.
Correct.
No matter how much you like the rappel, if you have a bad experience, and that hasn't been the case, and we're so thankful for that, and why we have, we've had more than 500 people who have gone on, and I'm going to have Larry Maester come in and grab the headset. He made the mistake of sticking his head in the door here.
Don't do that.
And he gets to come on the air. Larry actually went on the air with me. Actually, I wasn't with him. He was on the Blue Rocks broadcast, and they tried to hire him on the spot to do color commentary for baseball. Talk about a challenge. But joining us is Larry Maester. Larry, I know your role in getting this started and what it was with this building. What's your current official title?
So I'm the director of leasing for Brandywine Realty Trust. I handle the Pennsylvania suburban assets as well as down here in Delaware.
So you oversee how many buildings?
Oh, it's about 52 buildings, roughly 3.5 million square feet of space.
Wow, that's impressive. As you can see, Louise there has landed first time rappeller, and she has come down. And Larry, I told this story last night, and I've already told it once on the air when we've mentioned Brandywine Realty Trust several times, that one of the neatest outcomes of the involvement of this building. There have been some neat things when we see people, at least two people already have offices in this building who have gone down. One woman actually got a job because when she rappelled the first time, the law firm up on the 17th floor, somebody was waving at her, and she decided to apply for a job with them, and that's where she works right now.
That's perfect.
But even better than that is the fact that, we met you for the first time 7 years ago. You so generously made this event happen. Without this building, without your support from the beginning, we're not sitting in this broadcast room for 8 hours. This event's not happening. Since that time, you've become a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors. And you haven't done it to be a token member of the board. as somebody who supports this fundraiser. You're as involved as most of our board members become in a lifetime of being on the board. You have done that in just a couple years. What's been the inspiration for you to go above and beyond what, you could have never done anything with Special Olympics, and the fact you got this event started, we would have lauded you forever, but you have taken it to a whole nother level.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. Look, as far as Brandywine Realty Trust and our involvement, in offering the building, it couldn't have been easier. So when Special Olympics approached us, it was they'd love to figure out a way to do it. We met with the over the edge folks. Our biggest concern, frankly, was insurance, and once that hurdle was jumped over very easily, it was a piece of cake for us to put together and to offer the building. And we're thrilled that the layout of the plaza out front works so well, not just for the event, but for the community as a gathering place for everybody, not only to see this event, but to see the impact that it has, to have all the children and the athletes out there cheering on. That's the impact, frankly, that we're thrilled to provide. So it's been a lot of fun. Me personally, being a very active member of the board of directors of Special Olympics has truly been an honor. And I say it over and over, there aren't many opportunities in this life to be able to provide pure joy to people. And being involved in Special Olympics and the programs and the competitions that are offered for the athletes with intellectual disabilities is that opportunity for me to provide pure joy to people that wouldn't have the same opportunities if it weren't for Special Olympics. So it's easy for me. It's a passion for me. I'm glad to participate in it. I'm glad everybody is here today, that we can offer the building, and frankly that we have a 75-degree sunny day in between some ugly days.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's been the only nice day in 10 days, and it's going to rain tomorrow, and probably into Saturday.
And my Blue Rocks gig is probably canceled now, right? So they don't want me on the air anymore. So you're stuck with me, John.
That's funny. Connor Freeman finishing up. Steve Cason, a neat story. I'll talk to him. I'll talk about that in just a second. Larry, I've already mentioned the mission tours. One of the things you're intensely involved with the board of directors. You were part of that new mission. Maybe mission's the wrong term, but it is a mission to get the word out and to capture people, and so that they can truly understand what this organization does. The schedule is up on the website at sode.org to when you can attend mission tours. It's not just for new people. It's not a volunteer orientation.
No,
Tell
it's
us
not.
what it is.
I mean, look, frankly, it's amazing. The brand Special Olympics is so well known, and yet it's probably one of the most misunderstood, organizations out there, where there are myths that we are only sport.
Right.
And we are only sport at a few times a year. The purpose of the mission tours is to educate and inspire individuals that have a desire to learn about the organization as well as participate in the organization. So, we have 4,000 athletes within the state of Delaware, which means we have 4,000 families as well as thousands and thousands of volunteers that come out to numerous events that we have and get involved, and yet not everybody truly knows the breadth and the capacity of the organization and what it does. So we spend 1 hour, and we keep it to an hour, I promise.
Yep. And I'll vouch for that.
Yep. And truly, and we have guest speakers that come in, family members that really talk about the impact of Special Olympics to not only the individual athletes but the families. And when you sit through the mission tour and you really understand the full impact and the breadth of the program, you can't help but be inspired to somehow get involved, whether it's to volunteer at one of the sporting events, to donate time or donate money, or just frankly to get involved and support athletes, to be a coach. It's our number one need out there today is the desire and the need to have more coaches. For every athlete that we have on the field, there are 4 that sit on the sidelines because we don't have the capacity to coach them properly. So that is our call to action. That's why we do the mission tours. We do them at our offices down in Newark, but we've also taken them on the road.
Right.
So if you're listening and you're part of a company that wants to get involved with the community, we are happy to come to you, spend an hour of our time in your offices to give the program. It is something that is educational. More importantly, it's inspiring, and we're thrilled to do it, and we'd love to keep it going and invite everyone to participate.
A very eloquent description, much better than what I put together about 3 hours ago. So I apologize to that listening audience. We're glad that we got to hear that description, because you've lived it. You've seen it. You've been through every one, and you've seen it beforehand, and you've seen the impact afterhand. And we can't thank you enough for obviously what you've done to get this event up and running, but even more so your passion for the organization. So we appreciate you stopping by. Free hot dogs still out there?
Free hot dogs. There's free pretzels. I just stuck my head in to see if John needed anything, and you all got me.
That's
so,
right. There you go.
Look, John, thanks for all that you do in spreading the word, and it's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful organization. It's a great event. We're thrilled to be part of it. We invite everyone to come out and get a free hot dog or a pretzel before they run out. And the water ice is coming soon, I think.
I'll wait and go out there.
If not, it is now.
That's right, yeah.
I'll have to go foot the bill. But thanks for having me.
All right, Larry, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of the day, as we will hear a shout-out from Josh Smith. Have fun, Connor. We're watching Over the Edge DE live at the office. Your mom loves you, and you forgot to clock out. That's kind of funny. Just what a mom wants there. So good job there. All right, there you see Steve Cason.
Yep. And Stacey Dedinas is on yellow.
And before I tell you their involvement in Special Olympics, this was a surprise. Steve and Stacey are celebrating their 20th anniversary. And Stacey is a repeat edger. This is her 4th time going. And until this year, Steve wasn't going to go. But he decided to surprise his bride of 20 years and go over the edge for their 20th anniversary. And this was a secret that was kept in our office. It was kept among their friends. As Steve joked the other night, I'm ashamed of the amount of lying that's going on in order to make this happen. So Stacey had no idea that Steve was going to go over the edge with her. There you can see Steve giving a wave to the DJ, gets that announcement there. And had no idea that Steve was going with him until she walked upstairs into the 10th floor where they do the prep, and around the corner came Steve, all harnessed up.
That's
so
awesome.
It wasn't even that he was just here watching her. She knew as soon as he got harnessed up. Now, what I thought was funny as I was finishing up talking to Larry is, for somebody that's celebrating their anniversary together, you would think they would go down together.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's never done it before, you would think that he'd be the slower of the two. And again, they're not racing, and I shouldn't even say that, but you would think that she'd be kind of waiting for him to get going.
Can he go? Can you climb back up?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
No, you can't. That's not a choice. But I'm glad he had the sense to slow down, because I think she might have been a little upset if he keeps going. But anyway, what a great story. But an even better story is I met these two probably 25 years ago. They came out to volunteer. They both work for DuPont. Steve is the director of technology licensing, and I'm not sure of Stacey's official title. She didn't give it to us, but I can tell you she is in the executive level of DuPont. And they came out, and they were part of the track event, which DuPont sponsored at the time. DuPont sponsors now the Summer Games. Actually, they sponsored it then, but they kind of took over the track. And I needed 2 people to do the staging. This is back when I was running the Summer Games in the sports department. And these 2 were given to me, and didn't know who they were, what they did. Well, they ran that staging area like clockwork, like it had never been run before. And what they proved that day, and they've proved since, is that anything you give us to do, we'll do it, and we'll do it well. They've been over in Japan. They both transferred overseas, and I believe somewhere in Asia. I think it was Japan, somewhere in Asia. Worked there for 4 or 5 years, were gone. Type of people that whenever we held the plunge and they were in Asia, they raised the money and they plunged in Asia.
Really?
And now, I'm not sure what the water temperature is. We always laugh when somebody says, well, I just raised $75 and plunged down in Fort Lauderdale for you in February. That doesn't count. But I'm not sure what the water temperatures are in Asia. But either way, that's the kind of people they are. They don't have children, and so they've kind of adopted Special Olympics as their organization that they're going to do as much as they can for. And they're also the kind of people, I'm sure they have other interests in other organizations that they support. But they're back here in America, and as soon as they got back, they gave us a call. And I told the people on our staff, who, of course, didn't know them because they hadn't been around, I said, look, we've got to get these 2 people involved, and we've got to keep them involved. Steve, we have bounced to 3 or 4 different areas at Summer Games because whenever something comes up that it's more important than whatever he's – not that anything's more important, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
We have somebody who could fill his role, but he's the only one that can take on this new role.
Right.
He jumps right into it.
That's
so now
cool.
he's doing souvenirs, which sounds like a simple role, but when you've got 7 souvenir areas all juggling money and merchandise coming out of one shed, it's a big role.
Right.
Stacey works the aquatics staging area, the aquatics awards area. Again, they'll do anything that you ask them to do. Here's some of the things that they've done. Climbed Kilimanjaro. They've both done that in Africa. They've water rafted in the Arctic Circle.
Okay, so that counts.
She's not going to count my
No,
traits
no,
around the Olympic track.
I hope you get a chance to tell her.
They're supposed to come in. I'm going to ask her opinion. Now, Steve has never done. No, he has done the whitewater rafting. He just didn't live where. All right, here's a new one. Riding camels in India.
Huh.
And scuba diving with sharks. He's the shark. Now, Steve said he went with the sharks.
Which sharks?
That's what I'm going to find out.
You know,
we're going to get next time Corinne comes in. We got to make sure that she gets these two folks in here. They've scuba dived all over the world, so you can talk them about your dreams to scuba dive and not just putz around in the pool with a snorkel on. And so the white shark thing. So we're going to ask Steve about that. They want to thank their family and friends who support them doing this type of thing. And so Steve says, I'm most looking forward to surprising my wife, Stacey, a multi-year repeat edger. This is her 4th year. Stacey thinks I'm coming just to watch, but then she'll discover that I'm going over the edge with her. So a big leap of faith for him, kind of a neat
Very
thing.
Cool.
I don't think we've had two people. We've had husband and wives rappel together. We've never had a surprise, honey, I'm going down with you situation. And so we do for the first time.
When you get your first proposal on the side of a building,
we're gonna need it. We might need a 4th camera
that might be
to get
viral.
up close
Yeah,
for that.
that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, Steve Cason and his wife Stacey, longtime volunteers. Like I said, I met them probably 25 years ago. So they haven't volunteered all 25 years because they were overseas for several of those years. But certainly very dedicated people for Special Olympics. 2 of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And again, the type of people, volunteers, if you want something done well and you want it done, within a good time frame, they will get it done and very professional. They are people. Good. He's a people person, and so is she. So, so a great story for them to come down here together, Steve, for the first time. And, it'd be interesting, and I will ask Steve this. I'm not sure why he hasn't done it up until now because
he's done
everything else.
Things,
yeah,
right.
he swam with sharks, if that was real. We're still got to find out the story from that.
Lying?
So, so Steve Cason is coming down here. He's almost done with his first one.
So Steve and Stacey. Yeah, we got to get that story, get them on there. So there's a look at Steve coming down. And Stacey Dedinas right there. Making their way down over the ledge, over the edge, and almost done.
Steve with a smile on his face. We are going to try to get both him and Stacey in here. Once they get done, they get down. Edgers always mingle with the crowd.
Yep.
And then they will. They got to get their gear back upstairs to get it on the next people that are coming down. And then we'll have them. We try to grab people when they come in. We talked about different levels of school folks that are here today. Teachers, paraprofessionals we've had counselors. We're going to have an assistant principal, Amy Selheimer, is going to be going over the edge, if that name sounds familiar. Her husband, Scott Selheimer, who just came and peeked in the broadcast area here, is the sports information director at the University of Delaware. And so he is going to watch his wife go over the edge for the first time. And I think that was an example of where the people rallied. There you see a little happy anniversary, honey, pose right there. Maybe Scott will join Amy for an anniversary rappel at some point during his life. But I still think it was funny. If you're just tuning in, what you did, this is a special anniversary rappel. Steve on the right has never rappelled. Stacey is on her 4th rappel. And Steve surprised her literally upstairs that he was going to go over the edge with her. And so it was first time we've ever had an anniversary celebration on the side of a building. And so
very cool.
They did that. It was a very cool thing there. And If you're just tuning in, folks, we still have coming up Chris Truino, Special Olympics athlete, doing it for the second time. Valerie Dodson, Don Sloan, Tabitha Harris, Amy Selheimer, Riz Gadan, and Roxanne Gadaingan all coming up soon. And we're getting back on track pretty quickly. The next people that come down, we're scheduled to go at about 1:50, and that's just 15 minutes ago. Yep. So we had fallen about half an hour behind for reasons unknown to us. They do rope checks, they do equipment checks, stuff like that. So that's usually why. But and it's happened before, and they usually catch up pretty quickly. The 20-year anniversary of Steve Cason and Stacey Dedinas, a long-time volunteers of Special Olympics, and Steve's first rappel, Stacey's fourth, and we'll get them in here to talk about the surprise itself, and also Steve going through this for the first time. And again, lots of interesting stories, and one of the most interesting stories about them is they are a couple who has no affiliation to Special Olympics until they became involved. And I always think that is a neat story when you're not involved because your son or daughter is, or your aunt and your uncle, or your brother, or some cousin is in Special Olympics, even if it's in another state. So you decided, hey, let me get back. To the best of my knowledge, they do not have anybody that they are related to or even good friends with who is a Special Olympics athlete here in Delaware or anywhere else. And I always think that is a neat story. And two people that I know personally were very glad became involved, and we're going to make sure Corinne Plummer gets us Stacey and Steve when they come back through downstairs. Once again, if you're going to send us a message, you want us to give a shout-out to somebody, send it on Twitter using hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. Over 30 people have done that today, and we appreciate that. We've surpassed 2,000 people viewing this at some point today, well more than the 1,800 that did last year, which we were overwhelmed to the fact that close to 2,000 people tuned in last year, and we surpassed the 2,000 mark about an hour ago, which was the halfway point of this broadcast. And again, we, as proud as we are about the numbers and we like it, the most important thing is we continue to encourage to share the link with other people so that the awareness can continue to go out here. And Steve and Stacey have just walked in here to our broadcast headquarters, we call it. And what a story. First time we've ever had an anniversary celebration. I like the pose at the end. I hope somebody had a camera that can sell you that picture. I would have taken it if I was out there. But then Stacey Dedinas and Steve Cason, and let's start with the anniversary celebration. Stacey, your reaction when we've all known about this for a year, so it's something we've had to keep under wraps. From what I understand, you showed up in the gear up there, basically. It's not like you met an hour ago and told her you were going. What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I was completely surprised. In fact, it took me a couple of minutes to figure out what was going on, because we did actually meet an hour ago. We met for lunch before.
I knew that was happening.
And he said he needed to take off for a conference call and that he'd see me on the bottom. So I just figured that I'd look for him when I got close to the ground. And then I saw his shirt, and I was like, oh, he's helping out. That's great. I can't believe they let him upstairs. And then I saw his harness, and I thought, well, wait a minute. That's really strange. And the next thing I knew, I saw his tag saying, I'm an edger, and that's when it really hit me.
Oh, that's funny. Steve, Jimmy and I were talking before, and I go into what you guys do with us in a second, but I'm surprised you haven't done this before. Is there a reason that you want to share, can share, or just?
No, it's just it's been Stacey's thing. So I did the plunge for a number of years.
Gotcha.
And still do it, and it's really been her thing. So I always came out to support her and try and help her fundraise, and I thought, well, this year we'd do it together.
There you see Chris Truino, Special Olympics athlete, getting ready to go down. And Chris last year was the highest fundraiser. He raised more than, I forget the exact number. I know it was $2,300, may have been even more than that. But Chris is going for the second time. I told the story about how I first met the two of you at the track 20-plus.
Don't tell
decades
that story.
ago. And we're all not, none of us are getting
We
younger.
were 3 when we started.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting close to 30. But and how you guys just took that event over and just did a phenomenal job. And then you went overseas for several years. Work took you overseas. And when you came back, and we found out you came back, I remember telling Gary, who is the sports guy obviously now, that these are two people we got to get involved. We got to create something to get them involved, because if we don't get them involved, they're going to find another organization to get involved in, and we're going to lose 2 very good volunteers. What got you involved in Special Olympics? DuPont, I think, originally, but is that true? I mean, I know.
Well, actually, it was Mary Kate.
But it was through DuPont that got you. Was it Summer Games your first experience, or was it coaching or something like that?
So Summer Games was my first experience, and Mary Kate and I actually went to high school together.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've been friends with the McDonald family for a really long time. And so when we moved back to the Delaware area, because we had been away from, well, Steve had never lived in Delaware. When I moved back to the area, we got back involved. So it was really through the McDonald family and also through DuPont.
And then when you left, what were you involved in overseas? Any nonprofits? I mean, anything like, even obviously it might not have been Special Olympics, but you were two such giving people. I can't imagine you taking off for 4 years were you over there?
Well, we were there 6.
6, okay.
Well, we actually, I still plunged every year.
I told that story. And
we
now
just
let me
plunged
ask the
in different
question.
places.
How cold was that water? Because we have people that tell us I plunged for you this year in Fort Lauderdale in February. That doesn't count.
One place I plunged was on the Franz Joseph Glacier in New Zealand. There was
that counts.
ice water, so it counts.
I'll
And,
count that.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't care
we-
where else you plunge. If you did that,
we-
that counts for many.
I found cold water, so you can always find cold water
That's funny.
somewhere. So yeah, and I think one year when we were overseas, I came back. Maybe we both came back.
We
and
did, yeah.
We probably worked summer games once or twice.
Yep.
We just tried to arrange our schedule to be back in June.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I think we still hold the record for distance furthest traveled
To come back
for
and
summer
volunteer.
games.
Absolutely.
8,000 miles.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, now, Chris Truano getting ready to go over here. Now, Chris and Stacey, you'll be able to comment on this. Steve won't because he's a first-time person. Steve backed off the ledge. Mm-hmm. You backed off the ledge, but you're given the option this year to go face out.
Yeah.
You chose to back off.
Yeah.
Any just more comfortable?
Yeah, for me, I am really afraid of heights. So looking out or looking down just adds to, it's an anticipation kind of fear, right? It's not a fear, but so looking at the wall and looking up at those great volunteers and the ropes guys who are talking you through the whole process is just critical for me. So just keep your eyes on them, and it's all good.
We've actually had just one person who has decided to go off face out. We stopped saying
I didn't
face
know it was
first.
an option.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, you have to
I'm
go
going
up
to
and
do it again.
But most people have decided to go backwards, and I think it's for the same reason. I'm not even scared of heights. I'm not sure I could nudge myself off looking out.
Yeah.
I was much more comfortable sitting back and then them saying, okay, you're now at the mercy of the ropes, so you've done the hard part. All right, couple things, crazy things that you've done. Neat things you've done. Climbed Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
You've and that was in Africa. Have you both ridden camels, or was that just you?
Yeah.
both ridden
both
camels.
of us, yeah.
Scuba diving before I get to the scuba diving thing, because that's I need clarification.
Okay.
on that. Jimmy, who just walked out, has been my broadcast partner all day. He and I were having a discussion about the whitewater rafting. My only, because what we do is we ask people what they've done and add to the conversation. They don't just have to hear us talk about our people going down the side of a building all the time. Is what counts as whitewater rafting? My experience whitewater rafting was in an Olympic training center.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
your reaction alone tells me that you're not going to count that, because
Well, it
you
depends.
two went whitewater rafting in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more adventurous.
With my dad, by the way. He went with us on
Really?
that trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right, so the Arctic Circle. Now, when I picture whitewater rafting, I picture woods. Again, in
there's-
Maine, I see it.
Right.
Woods, creeks, rocks, and all that. What is it like in the Arctic Circle?
It's kind of tundra. There's a river called the Congacut in Alaska. It's one of the few rivers in North America that flows north,
Right.
and it flows north into the Arctic Circle. And we did it there. We did it in the Zambezi in Africa.
Yeah.
We did it Idaho, a couple of places.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice. You see
You see wildlife?
thousands of elk
you do it?
and caribou
Yeah.
and
We didn't see that in the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah,
No.
probably not.
It's all my colleagues.
Even a musk oxen.
Oh yeah,
That was
Really?
probably
And
the-
a muskox coming
Wow.
Yeah.
out.
All right, so you've done some neat things. What is and it doesn't have to be this. I don't expect it to be this based on the list you gave me. If you could only pick one of those things and do it one more time, what would it be? Of all the things you've experienced, and I assume from this list you've done most of this together.
Yeah, pretty much all of it together.
What would you do if you could only pick one to do it again?
Probably scuba diving again in Indonesia. We do a lot of scuba diving, but that's been the best we've ever had. So.
All right, and before I ask for clarification on that, what would your one thing be?
Exactly the same.
Same thing. All right, now describe the scuba diving, because Jimmy and I were having this discussion. By the way, they're not counting my whitewater rafting experience as real whitewater rafting. They saw ox and all kinds of animals on there. Jimmy said if I didn't see snakes or alligators, I couldn't count it as a thing. Or bears.
Or bears.
Describe the shark thing.
Well, I mean, we see sharks almost every dive. If you're in the Caribbean or in Asia, Southeast Asia.
This
you
is
see
another
sharks
reason, Jimmy, I'm never scuba
a lot.
diving, by the way.
And
I haven't heard the word cage yet.
No, but there's lots of different kinds of
there's
sharks.
lots of different kinds of sharks. Now, we don't go diving purposely with something like a great white
Let's go
shark
find
or
the sharks.
tiger shark or something. But the sharks are probably one of the lowest concerns you might have on a dive. So
They'd be high on my list, but anyway, keep
well,
going.
So there's a rule in scuba diving that it's not the big stuff that's going to get you. It's the small poisonous stuff that you got to watch out for. So that's why, you all have great safety procedures here for the over the edge. And when you dive, that's why it's important, keep your hands in. You don't touch things, and that way you protect the reef, and you also don't put your hands on things you shouldn't put your hands on. So.
Still not sure I'd ever do it. I'm not doing that. And I'm not. Have you either skydived? Either of you gone skydiving?
No.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't because you won't, or you just haven't had that opportunity?
Haven't had the opportunity yet.
All right, so what's left in your resume in life is already a lot more intense than mine as far as fun activities. I've done this. But what, other than skydiving, which you would do and just have it, and there's Chris Truno getting ready to go over the edge. So what's left that you want to?
Well, there's a lot of the world to see still. We like traveling.
Adventure. What?
So we're going to Antarctica in December.
Okay.
That's our last continent, and we'll, do the iceberg thing and see the penguins, and maybe take that may be my pre-polar bear plunge in the Antarctic waters.
Take your wife with you.
Absolutely.
I'll be there holding the towel.
There
for
you
sure.
go. That's what my wife does. I'm not going down a building. I'm not going in the ocean. That's what she's told me. Nothing.
I don't know.
Adventurous.
I think
zip lining, I'm sure you've done. When you have a list like this, you don't even put zip lining on it.
Fate intervenes, right? So something will come up and spark our interest, and we'll say, yeah, let's give it a try. Yeah. So
you going to go over the edge again, Steve?
I might. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So in other words, it's not the fear that's going to keep you from going. It's logistically whether you end up doing it or
I like heights, and I enjoyed this. So
and you
it was
obviously
a lot
like
of fun.
adventure.
So yeah. Yeah.
But you've been skydiving, which is easier, this or skydiving?
This.
Yeah. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to compare the two, but that would be my guess that this is easier.
You still have time. You can compare the two.
There's not enough time. All right, Stacey Dedinas and Steve Cason, two longtime volunteers of Special Olympics Delaware. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it. Really neat, the anniversary thing. First time that's ever happened. It was kind of cool.
Great.
And did a lot of lying to make this happen.
Yes.
So
Well,
I'm sure that's
and
not
pulled
in your
many
nature.
other people into that web as
we were
well,
all
I
pulled
found
in.
out.
You all
Yeah.
were very sneaky. So thanks, John.
Thanks very much. Stacey,
Thanks.
thanks much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
All right.
And thanks again. All right, we're on to our next edgers. That was Steve and Stacey. Thanks to them for stopping by. Valerie, Dodson, Don, Sloan, Tabitha Harris, Amy Selheimer, and Riz Gadan are coming up here. Jimmy, who we got there on the side of the building?
Well, that's actually a ropes volunteer that was going down with Chris.
Oh, okay.
Who's kind of just seeing through the process.
Gotcha. So it's kind of a ropes
More
check
of
type
a
of thing.
yeah, more or less of a ropes check.
So while we do that, why don't we put a couple commercials on, if you don't mind?
Let's do it.
Maybe a short one, because it does look like we got a couple other coming up here.
Changing the world is a contact sport. And when it comes to changing the world, there are no better athletes than the athletes of Special Olympics. Every day around the world, Special Olympics athletes come to the playing fields to learn, to grow, to compete, and to win. The Special Olympics Athlete Oath embodies this spirit. Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. At Special Olympics, we envision a world where everyone belongs, where bravery triumphs, ability emerges, skills grow, laughter invites. The human spirit is unleashed and the world is changed. One volunteer, one fan, one doctor, one teacher, one athlete at a time. Founded by Eunice Kennedy Shriver in 1968, Special Olympics is led by millions of athletes with intellectual disabilities in more than 170 countries, each embodying the beauty of difference. And Special Olympics athletes compete in over 80,000 competitions a year and World, Winter, or Summer Games every 2 years. Special Olympics is an everyday opportunity to make a difference in the world, bringing together people of all abilities to create a world of respect and inclusion. We're a global network of families who share inspiration, hope, and understanding. We're coaches, volunteers, and community builders, reaching out to children and adults who might otherwise be forgotten in some of the most remote parts of the world. And though sports is our engine, Special Olympics is so much more. We're changing the world in many different ways and in many different arenas. We're Special Olympics Healthy Athletes, the world's largest public health organization for people with intellectual disabilities. We're Special Olympics Healthy Communities, changing how governments, businesses, and policymakers address the unmet health needs of adults and children with intellectual disabilities. We're Special Olympics Unified Sports, helping to build relationships and understanding between people with and without intellectual disabilities. We're Special Olympics Young Athletes, unlocking the power of sports for the youngest children, ages 2 to 7, and their families. We're athlete leaders, trained and empowered, demanding respect and leading by example all around the world. Through the power and joy of sports, Special Olympics is revealing the champions in all of us. Come play with us. Together, we will change the world through sport.
Welcome back. This is the live internet stream of the 2016 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. I'm John Busby, along with Jimmy Smith and his crew from the University of Delaware, providing the excellent live coverage for the third year in a row, where people can get to see their friends from all over the world. Get to see their friends go over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. We've had people we know tuned in from across the seas for a couple people earlier today. And don't know where people are tuning in from, but more than 2,000 people have, which is 300 more people, 200 or so more people than last year. And we still have probably 2 more hours on our broadcast here. Coming up next are a mother-daughter combo, Roxanne and Riz Gadan. And an interesting story here. It's a mother-daughter combination, and Roxanne, we got to meet through Red Roof. She works at Red Roof Inn and Suites, and we used them for our basketball tournament to house our athletes from Kent and Sussex County. And she was so enthralled with Special Olympics that she decided to do this Over the Edge event just from that. And so we talk about people who get inspired to do this event and other events through their involvement with Special Olympics. And that's why we always say the most important thing about Special Olympics is that people come out and see what it's all about and they get involved. And I believe that's Roxanne on the right. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Roxanne's on the left.
Okay.
And Riz is on the blue rope on the right.
All righty. And you can see their names, obviously, on the telecast there. Riz is a full-time student at UD. Again, she is on the right there, and she is the sister of John Gadaingan, who I'm going to assume, and it is the brother, because Roxanne is the mother of an athlete. They do bowling and basketball. So he was involved in that basketball tournament. That's my mistake. I thought she was brand new to Special Olympics when we got involved with the Red Roof Inn. So she has never rappelled before, nor has her daughter, Riz. And Riz says she's excited to do something outside of the box and to get a bird's eye view of Wilmington. And there you can see she is getting ready to go. Backing off slowly. That's Roxanne. Taking those first couple steps. She's there on the yellow rope. She's very afraid of heights. My daughter has asked me to go skydiving. I can't see jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. But I'll do this, and it's for such a great cause. She does ride. This is Roxanne I'm talking about, the mom on the left. She rides motorcycles, and that's about all I can handle these days, she says. When I was younger, I boogie boarded in Hawaii and jumped from rocks into the ocean. Heights have always been a challenge for me. So we go from 2 people in Stacey, Dedinas, and Steve Cason, who are not afraid of heights at all and whose list of adventurous things is longer than mine will ever be, to a couple of people doing probably what safe to say, the most daring thing they've ever
Yep.
done. And here they come.
It's interesting to see kind of the dynamic and the range of people's experiences. Do have a lot of people that have done some pretty cool things, and not just like your normal honeymoon at the resort type of things, but like legitimate, go out of your way to do some pretty
Swimming with sharks.
crazy things, right? Like, it's not just whatever it is, simple snorkeling. There's scuba, there's legit zip lining and things like that. So it's a very cool opportunity for people to do something like this, because this is a story for forever.
Yeah, it is, right. Yeah, it's one of those things, we have a lot of moments when we grow up, and even as we continue to age, that are, what I call forget moments, that
Right.
you do it and you forget about it for whatever reason, and this is not one of them.
Nope.
I'll always remember and I'm not going to say when I'm 80 years old I'm going to remember the exact year that I did this without somebody telling me, but I'll remember that it was when I was in my late 40s, that I did this.
Yep.
And where I was in life, that I had a son out of the University of Delaware. I had 2 young kids as well, and it's just one of those things that you always remember what you're doing. And there you can see the crowd, and we're seeing brand new people. And there's Scott Selheimer. Yep. We mentioned him, the sports information
just
director.
Chilling.
He's just chilling. His wife, on the other hand, is up practicing on the roof.
Yep.
Amy Selheimer, who's an assistant principal. We talked about different levels of educators who are here, different faculty members, paraprofessionals, administrators. The president of Del Tech was here, 3 professors from Del Tech. And so a lot of different levels of people in education here, and Amy Selheimer going over. My guess is she was either challenged by somebody at her school, or she told the people in her school, if you folks raise the money, I will head over. So
we may have a spike in viewership here coming up soon with some
with
schools watching.
with school watchers, and also Scott. Scott just celebrated his 30th anniversary. I saw that on Facebook. Scott's a very humble guy. It's not something he would, and he wasn't the one that posted it. Somebody else posted it. 30 years with the University of Delaware. I graduated in 1989 with my bachelor's, 91 with my master's, and Scott was the assistant sports information director, and obviously relatively new at that point, because he and I are not far away in age by any means, and so it kind of makes me feel old that he just celebrated 30 years, and I've watched him during his entire career, and in some ways directly or indirectly been part of it. But the work that he does is amazing. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but it is we partner with the university, and that's one of the reasons I am going to talk about the University of Delaware and our relationship with them. Their coaches, especially the coaches and the student athletes. We just this past couple weeks, we've had the field hockey players who are involved coaching our athletes. The Laura Travis and the tennis team did a clinic for us. Softball did a clinic for us. The soccer teams, men's and women's, Scott Crescenti and Ian Hennessy always do clinics for us. Dave Brock brought a group down to Plunge for us. Dave Brock was a guest at the UD Plunge, which you referred to earlier. The basketball team, men's and women's, have always been big supporters of what we do. And so, we're very fortunate with our relationship with the University of Delaware, not only that we get to do our events at their venue, which is the finest there is in the state of Delaware. There's not a better place to play basketball. There's not a better place to run track. There's not a better place to play baseball and softball, which we'll use their fields for our summer games. And we're very blessed that they will host these summer games once again this year. They have done, I forget what the exact number of years is. I want to say this is probably the 26th year that they have hosted the summer games. Our summer games are on June 10th and 11th. There'll be more than 2,000 people involved in that between the athletes, the coaches, and the volunteers. We need a lot of volunteers to pull off an event like that, as you can imagine. We get a lot of corporate support. DuPont, as you just heard Stacey and Steve talk about, they are the sponsor of summer games, and we have a lot of different venue sponsors, but we also need lay volunteers, people who may not have an affiliation with a company, to come on out and volunteer. And so we're taking names and information now, and then we will place people as we find the needs. That's at info@sode.org. And if you can't volunteer at summer games on June 10th and 11th, and you just want to be part of the organization, whether it's as an athlete, a coach, somebody who is just going to help out at different areas of practices, we're always looking for. One of the new things we're starting is, all these other teams, my kids are on lacrosse teams, football teams, basketball teams, they all have team parents. And in Special Olympics, we've kind of avoided that role for whatever reason. It's and it might be the theory, like we talked about what's now been a couple hours ago, how what's the neat thing about Special Olympics is over half of our coaches have no kids in the program.
Yeah, right.
And so that might be why that it hasn't become a parent-driven organization. And there's pluses and minuses to that. But we're always looking for people. If you don't think you have the skills to coach, then we will find someplace for you if you want to be part of a team. And all that information can be found at SODE.org. Our next big fundraising event is going to be the Bike Prologue, and that is an event that's coming back. You heard Chief Bobby Cummings talk about that. He's going to do that event. They used to have it when they started rebuilding the Indian River Inlet Bridge down there, whether it was the first or second time they rebuilt it or whatever they did. We had to stop doing it because a major part of that prologue is you get to ride over the bridge, which I think is a really neat thing. And it's a 17-mile family-friendly ride, and that's going to happen on June 8th as a prologue. And the reason it has its name is it leads up to the kickoff of the torch run that happens that night in Rehoboth Beach. And so that's our next big fundraising event. What you're seeing now is Roxanne Gadaingan and Riz Gadan. Roxanne's on the left rope, and Riz is on the right rope. I'm sorry, the right rope, and that is Riz right there. Right is blue, and yellow is left, as we describe it to you as you see it. And so they are coming down, both of these, for the first time, a mother-daughter. Riz there on the right is the daughter. And Roxanne on the left, who is scared of heights, is coming down on the left-hand side. So got another shout-out. We'll repeat this when she comes down, but just so he knows we got it, Ken Levering is saying, "Go, Amy Selheimer." Going over the edge. Amy is scheduled to go over sometime in the next 30 minutes or so. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering where we're at. Valerie, Dodson, Don Sloan, Tabitha Harris, Amy Selheimer, Kylie, Frazer, member of the Special Olympics staff, and Marian Handlin, a longtime volunteer at Special Olympics, all scheduled to go over the edge in the coming minutes. So we glad you joined us here. Again, all this money stays right here in the state of Delaware to provide sports training and competition opportunities for more than 4,000 children and adults with intellectual disabilities, as well as unified partners who are their peers without an intellectual disability that participate on teams with them, whether it's in school or in the area, whether it's a softball team, a track relay team. Speaking of track relay teams, our partnership with the Delaware Interscholastic Athletic Association to provide unified sports in schools, both in flag football and track and field, has reached an all-time high. We'll have at least 15 teams, more than 100 runners, Special Olympics athletes and unified partners compete in the DIAA track and field state championships next Friday and Saturday. Our athletes, the unified divisions, will participate on Saturday, but it is a two-day event. One of the neatest things about this is when you open up the paper on Sunday morning and you see the results, you'll see three sets of results: boys, girls, and unified sports. So a great partnership that we've established. Kevin Charles, the retiring executive director of the DIAA, has been the driving force for that, along with a member of our staff, Gary Samaglia, to make sure that that program not only was piloted a couple years ago, but has become a permanent part of schools, and we just think it's going to continue to grow and grow. We had 4 flag football teams who competed in between the 2 state championship football games at Delaware Stadium on the University of Delaware campus. You can see our next 2 edgers getting ready. They're set and staged and just waiting for the rope to become available. And we are catching up. We were lagging a little bit behind in time there and juggled the edgers coming down for a variety of reasons, but we are pretty much back on time, or certainly within 10 or 15 minutes of that if you're tuning in and wondering when the next person is going down. Valerie, Dodson, Don Sloan, Tabitha Harris, and Amy Selheimer will all be coming down in the next few minutes or so. Once again, a thanks to our sponsors. TD Bank, not only sponsoring this event, they've done so all 6 years. They also hosted a cocktail party for the Edgers last night, and they're hosting a big block party outside. If you've been tuned in for all, you heard Larry Maester talk about that. Free hot dogs, free pretzels, and free water ice. We have yet to see any of the free stuff in here, Jimmy. You and I were huddled down here in the boardroom on the first floor, and it's probably better for my diet that that stuff's outside and not available free to me on the inside. But TD Bank, always just a fun, festive atmosphere outside, and that's been one of the things that's been fun to watch grow. I used to be outside and would MC. We have a great DJ doing it out there now. And it was always, I can tell you the crowd that we get now is 5 times as much as we got the first couple years. And it's just an exciting thing that happens. And so TD Bank is a big part of that, and a part of the reason people come out. As you can see, the Gadaingan mother-daughter combination heading to the bottom here. That is Riz, the daughter, full student at UD and works at Friendly's. Going to assume right there on the University of Delaware campus, or right off campus on 896. You and I pass that every morning.
That's right.
On our way in, always tempted to stop for ice cream, and then I remember that it's 8 o'clock in the morning and don't need ice cream that morning.
Hey, but they're open.
They are.
They'll serve you.
They will. They will. You can, and you know what? I have proven that theory because I have stopped before 10 o'clock in the morning and gotten ice cream. Brandywine Realty Trust, one of the other two sponsors, Newcastle County Fire Service, 22 fire and rescue companies here in Newcastle County involved in this in some way. There is Riz Gadan. She has reached the bottom, and Roxanne will be close behind her.
So we got Valerie Dodson and Don Sloan coming down.
All righty. A retired military pilot. Don is a retired military pilot. That I don't. It wasn't you. Somebody asked me yesterday when we were talking about what you would do and what you wouldn't do, and how I wouldn't skydive, but I did rappel, would do it again. And I talked about how I have no fear of flying. I fly 3 or 4 times a year inevitably, but I don't think I'd ever go in one of those planes that takes off at the Middletown airport.
Right. And I don't think I'd fly the plane.
But somebody asked me if I would do the Blue Angel thing as a passenger, and that was my first reaction. But then I thought, you know what? Here's what I think I would do. I think I would be a passenger if it was a one-plane experience. I don't think I'd want to be in the stunt show where they're flying 6 inches apart.
Right.
And the chance of a midair crash increases dramatically. But I would trust Don Sloan, retired military pilot, to take me up in a plane and go at some crazy speed. There's the mother-daughter combination of the Gadaingan mother and daughter, Roxanne and Riz. They have completed their descent. We'll see if they pop in here and talk to us. It will be interesting. Their son and brother, John Gadaingan, is athlete in Special Olympics. There you see Valerie Dodson. She's an employee at J.P. Morgan Chase, and she's going to be going down with Don Sloan, who is the retired military pilot. And coming up after them, I'm going to assume are Tabitha Harris and Amy Selheimer, since the Gadainans were scheduled to go after them. And we're getting down to that point. It looks like, Jimmy, a quick glance, maybe we have 30 people to go out of the 78, so we are well past the halfway point. And, we haven't described it in a while, but what you see there is the position that you assume when you're ready to go over. They have practiced this exact movement on the exact same piece of apparatus at the top of a one-story building on the roof. That is your practice round. You get your gear on the 10th floor, and you get some brief training. You get to feel comfortable with your apparatus, and then they take you up onto the top roof. And whether you've done this once or 6 times, you go through the training. Again, this is Don Sloan. He is a repeat edger. This is year number 3. He likes to do it because it's a couple minutes of fun and a warmer way to play. And we haven't talked about the weather other than maybe a couple times briefly. The conditions will never be better for this event than they are right now. It's not raining.
No.
It's not going to rain. It's not storming. It's not completely cloudy, but it's not sunny hot. I've been out there when it just gets hot.
Yeah,
and
right.
You can't, when the sun reaches that peak here in the city, there is no escape from it. And the glare, you're on the cement, the glare is coming off the windows, and you just can't get away from it. I've also been out there when it's very windy. You see the picture of the tree, and even though the flag is moving, I never judge wind speed by what a flag's doing. I always look at the trees, and that gives me a better sense because you never know how those flags are set up and where they are. But you can see the weather is really perfect. That's Valerie Dodson making her step back. She has never done this. She's scared of and also looking forward to taking that first step off the roof. She already did that, so she is on her way. I can tell you from experience and from what everybody else has told me, once you take that seat back in those first couple steps, that's when you really start. Enjoying might not be the right word, especially your first time, but that's where I think your heart rate goes from whatever it was to it's not back to normal yet, and it won't be till their feet hit the ground, but it's somewhere in between. So
it'll just be a toned down whatever it's going to be the rest of the time.
That's it. So Don is a retired military pilot. What other crazy activities have you participated in? None. Well, I count being a military pilot as crazy. That's better than my whitewater rafting trip around the Olympic track and right on line with swimming with sharks, probably. And so Don certainly has done some crazy things. He kind of looks like he's waiting. He's the more experienced of the two, obviously, having done this 3 years. And I'm not sure if these two know each other or if there's any relation between the two of them. But Don certainly looks like he's helping Valerie talk
Yeah,
her way
right.
down.
Yeah, he's bouncing off the building. He's experienced.
For Valerie, it's a celebration of a milestone birthday. We won't guess what that is, although it doesn't look like it. It looks more along as one of your milestone birthdays coming up rather than mine
Easy
at my
now.
age. No, that's a compliment to you, trust me.
For so long, and then it's not.
That's right. When we're doing this 20 years from
That's
now,
right.
it won't be a compliment. She has done some other activities. She's done the polar bear plunge. She's done paintball. She's volunteered on the board of the PTA. That can be crazy. I've seen that. And she's also done the National Guard plane pull. That's an event we used to do when we talk about unique events where basically a team of 20 would pull one of those C-130 planes that's housed at the Wilmington Airport and see how far they can pull. And I was talking to my kids about that the other day, and I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why it came up, because one of the local high schools was doing a fire engine pull. And so, I told them how we used to have a plane pull and describe that, blah, blah, blah. And they said, wow, geez, that must have taken forever. And, and it made me think, I remember the winning times of that being, I think they had to pull at 12 feet. The winning times were like 7 seconds. And the whole key to it was you had 20 people, and I forget the exact rules. I want to say it was co-ed teams, and so you had to have 10 men and 10 women, and there were no weight limits or anything like that. In fact, you got a prize. There was a category for the team, the lightest team with the fastest pull or something like that, in addition to what was flat out the fastest pull. And the whole key to that was that first pull. And if you have all 20 people pulling at the same time, it never mattered what the weight of the team was, they were able to do it. Right. And I saw some big, heavy, muscular guys not pull that plane because 6 out of the 10 of them, of the guys, and 6 out of the 10 of the girls were pulling and the other ones were not. So, but that's a neat event that we do not do anymore for a variety of reasons. But if you're wondering what the National Guard plane pull was for Special Olympics, that's what it is. A couple thank yous here. Valerie wants to send out a special thanks to Brad Jennings, Ron Dodson, and Christy Harris for, we assume, contributing to her $1,100 to make this rappel down the side of the building. Again, a couple big fundraisers. Marian Evans, a 6-time person going over. She raised more than $3,500. And Delaware Tech, a combination of 4 people, including Dr. Mark Hammond, raised $7,500 between their 3 campuses, and they're doing that in celebration of their 50th anniversary of that school. They are supporting 50 different activities in the community, including Over the Edge and including the Polar Bear Plunge earlier this year. Bonnie Smith has sent us a tweet, a shout-out to my fellow Dragon Leadership Team member, Tabatha Harris. And Tabatha has not gone over. I assume she is going over later. Maybe not. Maybe she's just giving a shout-out, and that is fine, too. Bonnie Smith is a shout-out. So, again, if you want to send out a shout-out to somebody, use hashtag OverTheEdgeDE, and we will make sure that we give a shout-out, even though they won't hear it while they are doing the Over the Edge. Obviously, they will be watching at some point, as this will be up on the website where you can watch the replay of whoever you want to see, and it might be multiple people. And one of the neat things I've heard over the years is people who they not only go over the edge, but then they watch it with parents or their families. Or I know the Murrays, Beth Murray and Struan, friends of mine. Struan was here watching it. Their son Dane, who's 8 years old, I believe, was not. And I'm sure that they will sit down as a family tomorrow and watch Beth go over the edge. And I always think that is a neat experience. I know even though we weren't doing the live stream last year when I did my Over the Edge event, I did watch it. Somebody videotaped it. In fact, it was Dana McDonald, Cool 101.3, and he brought me the tape up yesterday. And looking forward to watching that with my kids. I haven't seen my kids other than a quick good night last night, but tonight or tomorrow night I will sit down with them and watch my rappel from last year, a different view that they'll get. That was Amy Selheimer up top that you saw, and she will be going over the edge here in just a minute. Don Sloan are almost ready to go. And actually, Tabitha Harris is going. She's higher up on my checklist. In fact,
she should be going right around
now.
now.
She should be going with Amy. We'll see. So that shout-out from Bonnie Smith to Tabitha Harris. Shout-out to my fellow Dragon Leadership Team member, Bonnie Smith and Tabitha Harris are volunteers on the committee for the Newark Dragons, and that is Amy Selheimer. She's the assistant principal at Thurgood Marshall Elementary. It's her first time doing this. She's a little worried about that first step. She's a good Tabitha Harris, speaking of her, is a good friend who did it last year, and I agreed to do it with her for the great cause and the fun. So they are going to go down together That is Tabitha right there, and I do recognize Tabitha now that I see her face. I'm not always good at putting faces or names without faces, but when I see it, and Tabitha has been a long-time volunteer. Her daughter, Antonia, also known as Tony Harris, is a long-time Special Olympics athlete, and Tabitha is a sports director for the softball and a volunteer of the sport of softball for Newark. We have sports directors, so she oversees the softball teams that will compete at the Summer Games. This is her second year, and she's excited that she talked Amy Selheimer into doing this. And her inspiration is that she had a great time last year, but the main reason she's doing it is in honor of her daughter, Tony, and the other athletes. She enjoys hanging out with them, having fun, and being part of their lives. Now, she's gone zip lining with the Girl Scouts, and she's done the Tower of Terror at Universal. You been to Disney yet, Jimmy?
When I was younger, I never would have done anything like that because it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. So,
and now that you have a family, you'll go back. Here's my
absolutely.
one hint. Start saving money now.
Oh, my goodness, I know.
Most expensive place on earth. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
We've taken our kids twice, and a couple years in between.
Yep.
And I'm good with that. I'm good if we wait a few more years to take them back. But it has been neat. You know,
right.
I know some people that go every year, and that's great for them that they enjoy it, and that's what they enjoy doing. We choose to do other things. Not that they don't. And again, people do whatever they want to do. But what's been neat for our kids is they went a couple years ago. This year they had a whole different interest in different rides. Yep. And it was a different thing, and it's fun to see those different experiences. So we'll hopefully, Tabitha, she has said she will come in and talk to us. I want to talk to her about that Tower of Terror, even though it's not on the Disney complex. I know it's at Universal, but how she will compare that to going over the edge there. As you can see, Amy Selheimer. Her husband, Scott, is the sports information director at the University of Delaware. I know you work with Scott very closely, obviously.
Every day.
Every day.
All day.
He popped his head in here just
he
to
did, yeah.
see the
He
action.
loves all this stuff,
yeah,
and
sure.
I love it.
Oh,
so.
well, yeah, there's nothing not to love.
He doesn't always see it, though, because
Nah.
we have kind of different roles on game
right.
days. So
You're behind a curtain
yeah,
a lot of
or
time,
in
or
a
at least
room,
in basketball you are.
Yep.
I see you back there, right, or in a room like we are
Yep.
today and away from everybody. As Tabitha makes her lean back. And one thing you don't often see is when you get to this point, no matter how confident you are and how many times you've done this, you're still pretty focused on what's in front of you, meaning the tech and what do I do next.
Right.
You don't. I mean, Tabitha's laughing now, just as I say it, she turns what I say into a fib. But she certainly is all smiles. But there for a second, she was deadlocked straight ahead, as was Amy, her friend, who she's going down with. And now you can see she's posing for a picture and ready to go. And again, we haven't talked about how this happens, and that's a great shot of how she's just slowly pulling with her left hand on that lever, and her speed is completely controlled by her unless she goes too fast. And then what happens is you lock up, is what the term is, and basically that means you just stop. And it's a safety, it's a safety factor, and it allows you to stop, and then you just start again. And it's a very simple unlocking. Basically, to unlock, you push that lever forward, and then you start bringing it back slowly, and you pick up your speed again. So it's a very, very simple system. Boy, you can tell Tabitha is a veteran up there. She just let go of the rope with both hands on the 16th and a half floor, and you don't often see that as they come down. And we appreciate you tuning in to this 6th annual Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware, sponsored by TD Bank, Brandywine Realty Trust, and Newcastle County Fire Service. We are at the 300 Delaware Avenue building in Wilmington, Delaware. We'll be here probably for at least the next 2 hours. Come on out, a festive atmosphere outside, free food, free water ice from what I understand, lots of dancing, some giveaways. TD Bank is hosting what they call a festival out there, and it certainly is a festival atmosphere. There's been probably, I'm going to say, over the course of the day, there's been more than 500 people out
easy.
there.
Yeah, for sure.
Different people. Just like people aren't going to come and plop in the bleachers and watch 8 hours, just like they're not tuning in to us, most likely, for 8 hours. But they're coming and going, and they're seeing what they want to see, who they want to see, enjoying the atmosphere, and then they get on with their day and on with their lives. But, other than that, it's a great thing to come see. So if you're in the area, you still have time to come over. If you're watching this for some reason in your office building nearby here, come on over and check it out. You can see Amy doing her first rappel, slowly making her way down the building there. And you might have noticed, those of you who have been watching, that you're not going to see anybody come down in a pair of shorts.
No.
They do have some, and I don't want to say they're hard and fast rules, but it is a requirement that you not wear shorts, and it would be very uncomfortable. I can tell you that from wearing that harness. It would not be comfortable if you didn't have shorts to completely cover. And also, you can see kind of Amy sometimes the back of her calf might hit that rope, and you don't want to get a rope burn, anything like that. We have had people go down with GoPros. We have people go down. Joe Allen went down with a microphone this morning with a lapel. And did the broadcast live on WSDW. And basically the rule is if they can strap it in and make it safe so it's not going to fall, then they'll allow you to do it. But that's basically the limit. People take GoPros, right, and that's about it. You're not going to take a video camera up in your hand. No cell phones. You leave them up there. And so that's kind of the rules of the road for rules of the building, I should say, rules of the wall for coming down. And so you won't see a lot of equipment. Obviously, everybody gets gloves, which they provide. The harness is provided. The hat is provided. It's about as safe an event as you can do. As we've talked about, 100% success rate. They've been in business for 8 years. They run events. There's probably 5 other events going on somewhere around the country this same weekend. 3 nonprofits from the area. Now, we own the exclusive rights in Delaware. Nobody else can do an over-the-edge event in Delaware. But there are obviously surrounding states and some nonprofits. I think one was coming from Philly, one was coming from New Jersey somewhere, who were going to come look at the event and see what it's all about and what goes into it. And they may end up stopping in here at some point if they're still here, and it'd be fun to show them what we do. Because as far as we know, we're the only ones in the country that do the live stream.
We heard that early on 2 years ago, and still, I don't
the only ones.
Yeah.
And we have a talented team that does this, and that's a credit to you, Jimmy, and the folks that do it.
Thank you.
You're willing, B, you're available, and that's not always the case with people. And so,
right.
And I think if you're going to do something like this, and this is kind of how we approach most things, you want to do it first class, and you want to do it 110%, and that's a lot, not as simple as what I've seen sometimes where they stick a camera at the bottom of somebody, and you just watch the people land.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done that. I mean,
but there's no commentary. There's nobody's getting any information. We look at this as a way to somewhat entertain. Hopefully people have enjoyed listening to us for the time they have, but also an opportunity to educate and to let people know what this is all about. And if you want to get involved not only in this event but in Special Olympics, how to do that and where to go. We support 4,000 athletes, children and adults, as you see Tabitha making her final descent, big smile on her face. She's done it before. This is her second time, and she's the one that coaxed Amy Selheimer, who has Amy landed.
Amy
looked
came
away
down.
For a second.
Yep.
So Amy landed. There she is right there. And so nice job by Amy. That's Mark Wise from our office. He's in charge, as he has been every year. He's kind of in charge in that area down there. He's the support between the techs that you see in the blue, the crowd, and then helping get everybody ungeared and get that gear back upstairs so that they can get it on the next person. And so coming up next at some point will be Kylie Frazer, Marian Handlin, Jeff Moran, Bob Winfree, Kate Hendrix, and Scott Rickards, all coming up at some point. There's Scott Selheimer on the right, Amy's husband, giving her the thumbs up, and one of your crew, Jimmy. Who's that on the camera there?
That's right. That's Emma Sills.
Is she the golfer?
She's the golfer.
She is.
She won a CA championship.
champ.
That's right.
Was she the CA individual champion?
She was not.
But the team won.
The team won, yep.
And boy, who would have thought a school that didn't have a golf program is
that's right.
Scott and Amy, a sigh of relief hug there. You can see sporting the Thurgood Marshall shirt. And you can see Amy talking about how she just looks straight ahead into the mirrors there. So interesting there. It's always interesting to get people's reaction when they come out, both facially and everything else.
Right. Look right forward, and it's the same the whole time.
Looking in the glass. I'm going to assume that's, no, I shouldn't assume, but maybe that's Tabitha's other daughter. And there the two are. The one challenged the other, and our next people coming down are going to be Kylie Frazer, a Special Olympics staff member, and Marian Handlin, a longtime volunteer. Got started with a corporate involvement, and then since her retirement has stayed involved. She's helped with souvenirs down at the Plunge. She's going to be involved at Summer Games. I believe she's serving in that same capacity, working souvenirs at some point. Very dedicated person. That is Kylie, you see. Each year, one member from the Special Olympics staff is volunteers. So far, it's been volunteers. There is there will be a point where people are going to be appointed to go, most likely, or we have a couple staff members who do not want to go, which is understandable. But Kylie was eager to go, and she actually, I think, was going to go last year, but she had something a little more important. She got married 2 days after, actually 1 day after the event, and she's already agreed to come on, and she's taken that first step back and hanging on there with her feet. She's parallel right now and hasn't started stepping yet. There she goes. And so she's a good sport. Kylie's a great story. She started, we've talked about unified sports. Kylie was a unified partner, and she met one of our athletes down at the beach, I believe is the story. And she got involved in what was then the Newark Dragons Special Olympics program as a unified partner, I think when she was 8 years old. And she was a unified partner forever. And she went to the University of Delaware and majored in human services or something along those lines. Did an internship with us, did an internship with Best Buddies Delaware, and the timing was right that we were looking to hire a position to get school programs started in unified sports and Project Unify, which is a national initiative to get Special Olympics in schools. And she was a perfect fit for that job and has been with us ever since. And you can see her head getting ready to disappear. Her mom's involved in Special Olympics. They're here, Karen and Rick Melvin, I had to think of her maiden name, are here watching her. And Karen Melvin is a volunteer for our fall festival. She's one of the committee members. So again, an example of a family that doesn't have anyone with an intellectual disability involved in it and gets involved in Special Olympics. And ironically, Kylie's husband, Ricky, has a sister who has an intellectual disability. So, just again, one of those neat stories of, you get involved in an organization and there's Kylie with the arms out, getting the picture of that. So obviously she's not too nervous. And she's not afraid of heights. And there's Marian Handlin on the right doing the same thing. Marianne's a longtime volunteer. As I mentioned, she's headed up various committees over the years and involvement with her company when she worked, and now she is retired. Has done souvenirs for us, has done volunteer registration for us, done, again, another one of these people, if you need something done and you need it done right, she's more than willing to step up and do it. So Marian Handlin on the right, Kylie Frazer on the left. And Marian Handlin is, as I mentioned, she's retired from Discover. She is the grandmother to 8 beautiful grandchildren. She's been with Special Olympics for 29 years. Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that. I've been doing this 27, and I thought I was here first, but obviously not.
Nope.
Volunteers at the Summer Games, the plunge, the bowling, and the reindeer run her first year. It's on her bucket list. It's been, and she's looking forward to rappelling with Kylie and raising funds for her favorite organization. She loves watching the athletes grow and seeing their wonderful accomplishments. She wants to thank her family and friends for their continued support by donating funds to this great event. Also like to thank them for being available when I need them to assist in different events. I know her husband and one of her good friends comes down and helps at the plunge every year for that. So Marian Handlin heading down for Kylie. As I mentioned, she's a staff member of Special Olympics. She was a little nervous about that first step, and I certainly will not be looking down prior to that. So that must be why she chose to back off the wall instead of going face out instead, and doing it for the athletes. Now, she's done a few other things. She zip-lined in Haiti. Wow. She went to Haiti as part of a group, a national group for Special Olympics, and so she had the opportunity. And this zip line is called in Labadie, Haiti, and it's proclaimed to be the longest zip line across water in the world.
Wow.
So a little bit more than the one I do at Go Ape across
That's right.
A little cove in Lum's Pond, which
right.
I enjoy tremendously. I'm not downplaying that at all, but it sounds like the one in Haiti is a little bit longer. She wants to thank her family, friends, and coworkers who were so generous enough to contribute to tossing her over the edge. And as I mentioned, a year ago at this time, she was in the final stages of planning for her wedding, meaning it was the night after. And we all drove down there and had a good time at her wedding. So
we got 20 edgers left.
Is that what the count is?
That's
Great.
what I just counted up. So we'll see how those 20 kind of reorganize themselves. We've had some go early, some go late. There's a good look there of 300 Delaware Avenue and the reflection of the building across the street with the sky. That's some art right there.
It is. There you go, moving down. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is the 6th annual Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. 4,000 athletes of all ages, 20 sports year-round. Heading into today's 6th event, we had 441 people raise $625,000 for Special Olympics Delaware. By the end of the day, 87 people will have gone over between today and yesterday's media day. And my guess is easily have surpassed the $100,000 mark. So the totals for this event are going to approach the $750,000 mark, which a more impressive way even to say that is $750,000 in just 6 years. Very impressive. 17 stories, 222 feet. You can see Marian there, tipped backwards just a little bit, and that happens once in a while, and she's quickly straightened herself up and pushed away from the edge there. And re-got her grip on the window there coming down. So keeping right on going. Sometimes when you lock up like that, it kind of...
It spins.
You can see, you can see how her body...
You can't really use your hands either because you don't want to let go.
No,
and
right.
You shouldn't.
And so, but she's managing it. She's more than halfway down, it looks like. Kylie trailing her by just a little bit. Two different generations, with all due respect to both. Kylie, a recent graduate of the University of Delaware a few years ago, and Marian Handlin retired. So and the point I'm going to make or trying to make is that, you know, we've talked all day about the importance of having different generations involved in Special Olympics, because you need the people who have been doing it and have experienced it, like Marianne, and have seen the ins and the outs and the pluses and the ups and the downs and all of that. She gives a wave to the crowd there. And then you got the next generation, the Kylie Frazers, the senior from Appo High School, the senior from Middletown High School that went over, the other college kids that went over, the Del Tech students who watched their professors go over earlier today. And that is the future of not only Special Olympics, but, nonprofit organizations. They are the future of it, and so it's important and it's exciting to see them get involved. And there you see what it's like when you lock up. You saw it. You're not going to see a better example of locking up than that. She was going
pretty fast.
She was going pretty fast, and that's exactly what happens. You lock up and you stop, and you basically have to start over at that point. I don't mean go back up and start over, but get yourself going again. So Marian Handlin has landed officially with her first plunge, and knowing her personality, my guess is if she's not doing it next year, she will coax her husband into doing it or somebody else. But I won't be surprised if she doesn't do it. And there is Kylie Frazer, a member of the Special Olympics Delaware staff, who is making her descent. And we're going to try to get both of them in here. Certainly, I know Kylie has agreed to come in and chat with us.
She landed all the way down on the ground. You see that?
Yeah,
She sat down.
Yeah, she did. Big smile on her face. And her parents, Karen and Rick, are here. And I believe her husband, Ricky, was going to try to tune in. He was going to try to get here, but his job didn't allow him to have the day off. And so he was also going to try to tune into the broadcast if he couldn't make it here. So, Ricky, if you're listening, we're sure that you are relieved that you're, I guess it's still your newlyweds. If it's, your one-year anniversary, we'll count that. And high 10 there. That your bride is landed safely. They actually just bought a house, and they're getting on with that next stage in life. So it's an exciting time of life for Kylie, and she can add this to her. We just talked about 10 minutes, half an hour ago about how this is an event where you always remember what stage of life you were when you did it. And she'll always know it was, a year after we got married, the year we bought the house. She's literally, I think, been in the house for 2 weeks. So if you want to send out a tweet to any of our edgers, if you missed them and you still want to send them out a tweet, we'll mention it on the air so they can hear it. Just use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE. And we will be sure to say that so that they can hear it when they watch the replay. If you want to see them do it again, if you're obviously you're listening to me, you're tuned in, but if you want to see it again, or if you missed somebody else earlier today who you want to do it, our staff members Ruth Coughlin and Cheryl Tomo there, congratulating their colleague. Both Ruth and Cheryl have done it. Cheryl did it with her daughter, Sarah, who also sort of grew up in Special Olympics, and they did it a couple years ago, and Ruth Coughlin did it, same thing, 2 or 3 years ago. So they have done that as we get ready for our next two people to come down. Again, I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith, who heads up the production crew here. We've got quite a team put together, all kinds of camera angles as you're seeing, and this is the third year that we're putting this together, and Jimmy's got it down to such a science. He came to set up yesterday, and I didn't even see him. He was in and out before I knew he was here, and I was tied up doing other things, and they got everything done they needed to get done and showed up 6:30 this morning, and 2 hours later we went on the air, and here we are 6 hours later, and hoping that Kylie stops in on her way back up so we can chat with her. And Corinne will make sure that Kylie comes in with us and talk to her about the over-the-edge experience for Special Olympics. 4,000 athletes year-round, 20 sports. Lots of ways to become involved. Visit the website, sode.org. You'll see a blue volunteer button at the top. Click on that. You can see all the different ways that you can be in Special Olympics. We really do have something for every age group. Even if you have a 3-year-old child that you want to get involved for some reason who isn't eligible to be an athlete for Special Olympics, they can be a unified partner in our Young Athletes program. Teenagers, Young Athletes program, perfect. 16 or older, you can be a unified partner, or you can also coach for Special Olympics. You can also volunteer at our events. We're always looking for event volunteers, including at our upcoming Summer Games, June 10th and 11th. For more information about that, email directly to info@sode.org. You can also find that information on the website if you want to. Our next big event coming up is the Bike Prologue, a event that is returning to Delaware. It's a 17-mile family-friendly bike ride, and when I say returning to Delaware, it didn't leave and go to another state. They just stopped having it because of the construction of the Indian River Inlet Bridge over several years, and now they are bringing it back. It's a 17-mile. They're calling it a family-friendly bike ride. It's not a race. They do require that you be able to ride, I believe it's up to 10 miles an hour consistently. That information is on the website at sode.org. It takes place on June 8th as a preview, or preceding, I should say, prelude to the 30th Torch Run, which will kick off at 7 o'clock down there at the bandstand. So a great opportunity to see that Torch Run. It's a really neat ceremony. I've emceed it a couple times and been down there just as a spectator, and it really is a fun time. I think my son Tyler and I are going to head down for the bike ride that day if we have the chance, and also enjoy that. So more information about all that at sode.org. 87 people are going to rappel 222 feet. Jimmy said we had 20 left, right? Is that
yeah,
we're
on Jeff Moran and Bob Winfree, so they will be get us down to 18 when they land.
Jeff Moran, a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors, and one of the neat things that they both work for Discover, and they got their company, they did this. We got another person that swam with sharks, Bob Winfree, another shark swimmer. And Jeff Moran has done 15 marathons. Other than that, he says, I'm just a normal guy. I don't think if you do 15 marathons, you are a normal guy. But anyway, the two of them, they did something at the bank where they had two jars, and you had to put pennies in the jar. And whoever put the most pennies in won the prize, whatever the contest was. And the whole goal was for them to each reach a minimum of $1,100, which they did. And there was something in part of that game where is all the pennies counted for a point, but if you threw in $1, you got deducted 100 points. And so that's how they raised money, because, sure, I'll throw in $1 to help my guy win by taking away from your 100 points.
Right.
They raised, I think it was over $3,000 when it was all said and done. It was just weird how that happened. That's Jeff on the left and Bob on the right here. Jeff wanted to especially make sure to thank the employees of Discover for making this happen. Again, the money that they raised, although I'm sure both personally contributed, but the bulk of the money was raised by the people at Discover Bank. Neither of these guys have done this before, and I tell you what, Bob's flying. He is flying down the side of the building.
Somebody told Bob we got to go, and Bob's like, all right, let's go.
Bob might have a dinner date or something with his wife or significant other, because he's not wasting any time, and Jeff's not far behind him either. Again, if you want to tweet either of these guys or anybody else who's involved, use the hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. We'll see it on our Twitter feed and make sure that we get the shout-out for that. As we are down to less than 18 people ready to go here. And, wow, he didn't waste any time getting to the bottom.
Bob hated it or loved it, one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no in-between when you go that fast.
But he is down and landed. So a nice job by Bob Winfree coming on here.
Yeah, Jeff Moran not too far behind.
No, not at all.
Maybe 15, 20 seconds later.
And so here, as we close into the final quarter of the people of the 87 that will go down between today and tomorrow. Still to go is Kate Hendrix, Scott Rickards, Dennis Berkey, Kelly McGee, Amanda Biggs, Crystal Mehrenberg. They are the ones scheduled to go here in the next half an hour or so. So if you've tuned in, They're ready to go. Coming up. You haven't missed them. High five there between the two colleagues. And they're going to get their stuff taken off and get it sent back upstairs. And again, we talked about the weather, how perfect it is. We're in a climate-controlled room where we don't see the sun and we don't see a lack of sun, but we can tell from the camera shots out there that it's almost an ideal day. No rain. One of the videographers is in here, has been outside. He's nodding his head yes. Not a lot of sun, which, again, you might say, geez, it's too bad it's not a sunny day. Well, for the people that are out there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., they're glad it's not a sunny day because it gets hot. Day. This is perfect. There's not a lot of wind. You can see not much blowing there. And so we've been blessed with good weather. We've never had a weather delay in the 6 years we've been doing this. If you wonder what happens if it does start raining, well, they keep going as long as it's safe. The ropes getting wet does not affect the friction or the traction of it itself, but obviously if there was lightning, like any outdoor event, you would shut down and wait till it passes, and there's rules and protocols in line for that. Fortunately, we're not going to have to worry about that today. So some high fives there again. Marian Handlin, a former employee at Discover, she's now retired, and then Bob Winfree and Jeff Moran, who are there, and they've finished up their rappel. All first-time rappellers there. We talked earlier that one of the neatest things about this event is the number of people that come back and do it again and again and again. We have 4 people who have actually done it 6 times. One of them we talked to earlier, Marian Evans. And also there were other people who have done it 6 times. Danny Hall from the Delaware State Police, Mike Lariano from TD Bank, Hank Tomchek, one of the parents of a Special Olympics athlete, and again, Mary Ann Evans have all done this event 6 times. Several people are doing it for the first time today. Probably, I'm going to say probably of the 3 categories being first-timers, second-timers, and people who have done it more than 2 times, there's probably more first-timers than anything, would be my guess.
It felt like it when we were talking about it earlier, and kind of hearing as you give the, quote, accolades for everybody. That's Scott Rickards right there. As you give kind of the accolades and talk about people's experiences, but you're talking about people that have done it 6 times. That's at least $6,600 raised. Yeah. That's incredible.
That is unbelievable. And Scott Selheimer is coming in, and we're going to get him to get on the headset here to talk. Wait, he's leaving now.
All right.
He's going to get his wife.
No, you should get Amy. I don't want to talk to you. What do you have to do?
Get his reaction.
Is Amy coming?
Oh, yeah. Come on in.
If
she wants to go on, bring them out. Yeah, have them all come in. Here they come.
Yeah. I want to talk to you, Scott.
There we go. We got the muscle pose. Amy Selheimer, first timer. And Tabitha Harris, a second timer. Amy, you went down quickly.
I really did.
Yeah,
was that on purpose?
Yeah, pretty much.
She left me.
I did. I told Tabitha, I said, let's go down together. And then once I got moving, I just wanted to get to the bottom.
Well, we commented, knowing you were a first-timer and Tabitha's an experienced one, and you wanted to go down together, Amy didn't waste any time.
She stressed, don't leave me, Tabitha, don't leave me, and she left me.
I did. I left her in the dust.
Now, you've done it for the first time, Amy. What was the experience like?
It was good. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I looked left and right. I didn't look down very often, but I did look left and right.
Tabitha, the second time, any easier, just as stressful?
You know what? It was easier.
Yeah.
I knew what to expect this time, and I went down a lot smoother, I think, this year. Although I still got left behind, but
you're not going to let her forget that. No, well, you have to do it again, both do it again next year, and you can race. Up to a certain point, you lock up, obviously, at a certain point.
Well, we could try it. Experiment, see how fast we can go without locking up.
I won this year, so she's going to have to beat me next year.
Or maybe the 2 men in the room with us could go down next year. The 4 of you together.
Ooh.
Scott's going? No, Scott's going. There we go.
Tony and Tony.
Scott's going. And Tony, go. Yeah, there we go.
Husbands against the wives.
There you go. We could time you.
It was great. I was happy to do it for a great cause.
Well, that's great. We're glad to have you. As a mom, not very quickly, take your time. Tell us what Special Olympics means to your family.
It means a lot. I mean, not only just for our daughter, Tony, but for all the athletes. It's good to know that they all want to be treated just like anybody else, and it's nice to see them out there able to do pretty much anything like anybody else can. I mean, we've got athletes up there, Special Olympics doing the over the edge too.
Yep.
So, and they're good guys up there. They're really helping them, talk them to get themselves down. But Special Olympics, it's a good good organization, gets kids out there, staying fit, interacting with everybody, and seeing that they can, everybody's a winner.
And you're involved by much more than just being a mom on the sidelines. You're
Yes.
the softball sports director. You've been a volunteer for years. And so thank you for all you do for
thank
the
you.
athletes. It's a grassroots level organization. Thanks for going over the edge for the second time. Thanks for bringing Amy along for the
Thank
first
you.
time. And it
Thank
looks like
you.
we got 2 more going over the edge next
We
year.
do.
So we'll look forward to that. So enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank
And,
you.
Thank
the perfect weather opportunity today. You guys can only hope the weather's like this next year when you go over. So, all righty. Amy Selheimer and Tabitha Harris, they are done going over the edge. And it looks like they've recruited their 2 husbands to go over next. Yeah,
Thank
Scott
you.
said he's committed
I
on
know,
air,
right?
so he can't back out of
Thank
it.
you.
Scott, hop on the headset here real quick. So we got 2, Jimmy, real quick. Who we got going up there? I can't.
Kate Hendrix and Scott Rickards
All right,
are
so
off.
Kate Hendrix and Scott Rickards. So Scott, the only reason I asked you to hop on, we've talked about you a couple times. You actually were on the TV at one
All right,
point
you
in
got
your
to
role.
flip it around.
And
Flip it around.
and so we you just committed on the air to go over the edge next year.
I think I did.
I think you did too.
So I guess a year from
there
now
you
I know
go.
where I'm going to be.
That's right. So what'd you think? What's it like watching your wife do this?
Oh, it was
my
cool.
wife refuses to do it, so I'll
Yeah.
never have that experience.
Well, she's
but-
been talking about it, and she's pretty daring. I mean, she's always been a roller coaster person and everything like
Right.
that. I'm probably a lot less than her even with that. But, it's interesting. I heard one of the people right before Amy, she had a comment, one of the persons down, she said she was doing it because she wanted to show her faith in things she can't control.
Wow.
And I thought that was a really good thing
That
because
is.
you just got to put faith. And it's one of those ones, like, I don't like heights, but if I know I'm secured,
Right.
like if I was standing up on that roof without anything on, I'm
Right.
scared.
Right.
But if you put me in something that's secure, I have total trust in it that I'll
you
make
go.
it down. So hopefully I'm not just blowing smoke and I'll be able to get up there next year and
Well-
make it down. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fortunately or unfortunately for you, this is being recorded, so we have this. Whether you deny it or not, we can prove it.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was aware of that, so I know it now. Maybe that's what I needed to make sure I did it.
and so that's good that
So,
you're going over
but,
next year. And Scott is Selheimer, University of Delaware, going to be going over the edge next year. Either with maybe with or without your wife, but she did it once.
Yeah,
and so
we'll
give her
see.
credit. She seemed to enjoy the experience.
Yeah,
and,
so.
that's great. All right, well, thanks for stopping
Yeah,
by.
thanks for
coming
having
on
me.
real
Great.
quick.
Thanks again for everything you guys do.
So-
It's great stuff.
Well,
so.
it's a great relationship we
Good.
have with you guys, and you're a big part of that, so we appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks. Good luck the rest of the day.
All right, thanks, Scott.
See ya.
Heading down is Kate Hendrix. She is on the left rope, and Scott Rickards is on the right. Kate is employed at the Wilmington Friends School, and she's part of the Wilmington Elks Lodge 307 team who's going down. She's not normally a thrill seeker, she said, but she's going to have a thrill-seeking experience here. Scott Rickards going down with her, employed by Capital One. He's bungee jumped and he enjoys riding motorcycles. Nothing too crazy.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
Nothing too
Nothing
crazy.
too crazy.
Motorcycles, bungee jumping, and going over the edge. You can see he's going down pretty quick there. He is a repeat edger. This is his first time for Kate Hendrix heading down. You can see both of them are making pretty good time.
And with them finishing up, it'll be about 16 left. Plus, or I don't think it'll be plus. It may be minus somebody, but everybody that's gone, or everybody was scheduled to go has gone. So we should be about 16, 15 away from finishing up. 2,600 people have watched the broadcast here today.
Including the entire company of Discover. I just
Wow.
found out. Jeff Moran, who just went over with Bob Winfree, 2 employees, and right before them, Marian Handlin, a retiree of Discover. And I just got word that they had actually contacted us. They're the ones, Jimmy, who I asked about the firewall. They had an issue with the
Yes.
firewall.
I'm so glad
and-
they got because there's
and-
nothing. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys,
no,
I couldn't do anything.
No, I know there's only so many
If I
things. you-
could, I wouldn't be doing
you
what
can
I do
everything.
now. I'd be
Right.
hacking.
You can do anything else,
Yeah,
but
right.
you're not going to break a firewall. But the entire company apparently
That's
watched
great.
the 2 of them go down. And so thank you, Discover, those of you still tuned in, for being part of that. Maybe we inspired a couple of you to go on in the future. And Bob and Jeff are both coming in. And I tried to briefly explain the fundraising efforts that they put on, and I'm going to ask them to explain it even further. Jeff Moran, who is a member of the Special Olympics Board of Directors, and Bob Winfree at Discover. And guys, both first-timers. Bob, you wasted no time coming down.
I wanted
gotta tell you.
It was pretty intense.
We thought maybe you had a dinner date or something you had to get to by 3:30 because
I try to be efficient.
We don't see many people go that fast, even the ones who have done it 5 or 6 years. And you flew down that building. What was it like?
It was pretty intense, and it's no wonder why they call it over the edge, because that first second when you commit is when it's the.
That's what they say. Two guys that just landed, or guy and a girl. Scott Rickards has landed. Kate Hendrix has also landed. So 2 more down here. I think we're at the less than 15 points. People to go. We've been on the air since 8:50 this morning. Jeff, you're involved in the board of directors of Special Olympics, and so you've seen the organization on both sides. You had an interesting way to raise money.
We did.
One of you or both of you together explain how that was. I didn't do it justice. I had something about penny jars, and if I give you $1, you start losing.
Yeah, actually, we came up with this idea called Penny Wars. So, in our center we have probably 1,100 people that work with Discover, and so we had a competition. Bob and I have, we're very competitive guys, and our teams are competitive, so we were able to.
Race,
I know. So you got to keep reminding me of that.
Rematch next year.
I'm going to hear all about that tomorrow in the center.
It's on the air.
We heard the whole company's watching.
Exactly. So we had big jars, and it was penny wars. So our employees would put pennies, which was a good thing, in a particular jar. But if you put silver or you put dollars, you would deduct that amount of money from what the pennies were. So Bob and I had this running competition where there was one Saturday where I snuck into the center. I brought all the coin I could find. I put, $20 bills in there, and he still hammered me.
That's funny.
See, what, Jeff, you don't know, and I can confess now, is I put dollar bills in there, but I wrapped them around 20. So that when you opened it, it was a little treat in there for you.
Very nice.
Now, above and beyond the fundraising going to the edge, Discover's been involved in Special Olympics for years. I've been doing this a long time, and they've been here longer than I have been. I'm not sure there's an event you haven't done. I know, Riz, way back before you guys were involved, you did the softball throw. And I'm talking about back in the early 1990s, and you've done the pool for us. You've done the different other things. What keeps the employees wanting to continue to come back? Or, is Special Olympics an easy sell when it says, hey, we need you to show up on a Saturday in the summer and volunteer all day at Special Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak, and Bob, if you don't mind. For our employees, it resonates. It's a great organization. The athletes are inspiring, and they give our employees a chance to feel like they're connecting to the community and really helping what we have going here in Delaware. So whether it's the summer games or the bowling events that we sponsor or, kickball or whatever it happens to be, our employees always walk away with just this wonderful feeling about what they're doing and how they're helping others.
Bob, anything?
Yeah, no, I think to echo that, our associates really understand that we are part of the community in which we work and we serve, and that's a big responsibility. And anything that you hear Delaware, a part of the organization, I think that people really get excited because they look at it as a civic and as a responsibility of being a Delawarean and an American.
Well, it's great that Discover's part of it. It's a neat competition you did. We talked during the day at different ways people raise money. And so that was something we haven't heard in the 3 years we've been doing this on the live stream. So that is kind of a neat thing. So thanks for all you do for Special Olympics. I understand everybody's watching back at Discover. Maybe you'll go in Monday and you got 10 more volunteers ready to go over the edge.
That's what we're hoping for.
So
I mean, we'll be back.
Yeah,
that's
great.
We'll
Good.
definitely be back.
And you won, right, Bob?
There's no competition. There's no losers.
That's
but
right.
I won.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Nice meeting you, Bob. Jeff, good seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day. You can relax now. Jeff Moran and Bob Winfree from Discover. They were joined by Marian Handlin, who also went down, a longtime volunteer for Special Olympics, retired from Discover right now. We've got our next 2 edgers getting ready to head over the edge.
Kelly McGee, and I don't have a second name yet.
All right, we'll find out who that is. Talk about Kelly for a second. She works at Dwayne Morris LLP. She has no affiliation to Special Olympics. She's told the scariest part is when you first lean back over the edge and start to descend, which he has done. And is that Kelly on the left there?
Kelly is on the yellow rope, yep.
So on her way down, and she's taken those first 2 steps. And here's another one we talked about, people who work in this building and get inspired to do it. For the past 4 years, I worked in the 300 Delaware Avenue building and have been watching edgers rappel down the side. So once I found out what it was all about and that it was for a great cause, I decided that I want to get in on the action. She wants to thank her family and former co-workers at Schwartz Campbell LLC for coming in and chipping in to her cause here. That is Kelly heading down on the left side of the building there. We're trying to get the name, we have gotten the name here of the person going down on the right side. In the meantime, with us, we have Kylie Frazer, who is joining us. And Kylie, it's over.
Finally.
Finally. You look very confident. You had a little different style when you first leaned over the edge. I don't even know if you realized it. You had your legs straight out in front of you, whereas most people go in a crouch and kind of sit back.
Oh,
You'll have to watch what other people do, and you'll understand what I mean there. So, but what was the experience like?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Once I took the first step over on the practice run, I was good then. But on the practice run, I tried to go back up.
Now, we talked about ahead of time how two choices, either face out or back out like you did. You chose back out. Did it ever, once you got to that point, the 17 story, did you ever maybe think about doing face out first, or had you completely eliminated that option?
No, I didn't even look over. I heard everyone, and I just stayed straight forward, making eye contact with the over-the-edge staff.
A year ago, you got married.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you where this ranks with getting married. Either way, you might not say the right answer. But with the things that you've done in your life, where does this rank? And what have you bungee?
I've zip-lined.
Zip-line. Where did you zip-line?
Zip-lined in Haiti across the water, so it was a great view. They say it was the longest zip-line in the world, but I will say this was much higher. I felt like.
Right.
So, not
now,
sure.
The zip-line in Haiti, is it higher or longer than a typical? Have you done the Go Ape at Lumps Pond? Yep.
No. But they say it's the longest in the world.
Okay, the longest. But and you're never as high as this.
I don't think so. It didn't feel that way. This felt much higher.
All right, we have Dennis Berkey on the right rope. He's coming down. He works for Merchant Processing Solution. He's never done anything like this before, and he's one of the Wilmington Manors Lions Club, and he's an active member of Special Olympics Delaware. So coming down, he wanted to thank Asbury United Methodist Church, his family, and the Wilmington Manor Lions Club members who have supported me. And Kelly on the other rope wanted to thank her family and coworkers at Schwartz Campbell. That's why I called you Kelly originally, because there's another Kelly on the rope. So back to Kylie Frazer here. Kylie, were you on the whitewater raft ride with us down in Charlotte a couple years ago?
Not on the same boat, but I did.
You were on.
Yes.
All right. So Jimmy and I have been having this discussion. We've been going through everything that everybody's done. We've had people who have been swimming with sharks. We've had people who have done, what are some of the crazier things that we had? Zip lining, skydiving, that type of thing. And so I asked Jimmy if he would count the fact that we were in a controlled Olympic environment as whitewater rafting, and his response was, unless I saw a bear, an alligator, or a snake, it didn't count. So
yeah, I wouldn't count it.
So even Kylie, who did, is not counting it either. Have you ever been real whitewater rafting?
No.
Okay, so you don't have a comparison. I'm still counting it, no matter what anybody says. But anyway, we're glad you survived. Who's next on the staff next year?
Mark Wise.
Mark Wise, who is the one you've
up.
seen at the bottom. We've introduced him a couple times at the bottom, but we're glad you survived. And you chose to go with Marian Handlin. Marian, the entire Discover Bank was watching this, is what we're told. They got through the fire line, and they were able to do that, so that's kind of a neat thing. You see Kelly McGee there making her final descent there. That last lip, and I'll ask both of you this question. I know when I did this last year, I was glad that they literally pulled me away from the wall, and I didn't have to manage that last lip. Not that I don't think I could have, but by that time I was ready to land. Is that how you felt about it?
Yeah, I was ready, like, how much further?
Now, Marianne, you've been involved in Special Olympics for 29 years. You've done a lot of different things, obviously, when you were with Discover, but we snatched you up as we do with the good people. As soon as they retire, we make sure they don't retire from Special Olympics. You help us out at the plunge. You help us out at Summer Games. What keeps you coming back?
I just love the athletes. Their smiles just make it all worthwhile. And the staff is phenomenal.
Well, we appreciate that compliment, certainly. Between the two of you going down, you made it safely. We had good weather. This is as good as the weather gets. If you've been involved in this event before, you know that. So you get to breathe easy the rest of the night. You get to relax. And we have a busy week next week. And you're retired, Marianne, so you can enjoy next week.
Well, this was a lot easier than climbing Mount Pilaf in France.
Oh, is that what you did? Oh, I should have asked you. Yeah, I didn't have it.
Because there, you take 3 steps up and you slide down because it's all sand. And then when I got to the top, I said, what am I looking at? And they said, the Atlantic Ocean. I said, I go in that every weekend, and I climb back to see that.
Now, when you climbed that, were you tethered and roped, or you just did that?
You just climbed it.
That's not on my bucket list.
More adventures than whitewater rafting
Hey,
at the
that still
amusement
counts.
park.
That still counts. All right. Kylie, Frazer, and Marian Handlin, thanks for stopping by. Congratulations on completing your first rappel. Marianne, it might not
Thank
be your
you.
last. You can go again next year. Kylie's got to wait her turn again.
I think I'll wait.
Wait and go with Kylie again in a few years. So, all right, congratulations. Thank you both for stopping by. If you're just tuning in, this is the live internet stream of the 2016 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. 87 people are going to go down when it's all said and done. You're looking at Kelly McGee, who has just finished her descent, going over for the first time. She said the scariest part is when you first lean back over the edge and started descent. She obviously did that very successfully. Has landed, and a good friend, maybe a spouse, who knows, right there, one of the volunteers, one of the edgers, getting a congratulations right there. So always a good feeling when you make that final descent. And we are ticking people off here. Dennis Berkey also landed while we were talking to Marian and Kylie. And still coming up is Amanda Biggs, Crystal Mehrenberger, Morgan Brandenburger, Ruth Lavelle, Nancy Gallagher, Vimbai Jamba, Chiara Gravel, and Paige Spittinger, all coming up if you're just tuning in. We are in the final home stretch here of what has been going on a 6.5, almost 7-hour broadcast of this Over Edge event. If you've just tuned in and maybe you missed somebody, you already got a text message that they've gone over, you'll certainly be able to see them tomorrow when we put the live stream, what will then be a recording on the website at sode.org. Jennifer Vinton, I joined Twitter today just to send out a tweet to cheer on my awesome sister, Kate Hendrix. Here's to your bucket list. And so a shout out there. Kate Hendrix went over just a couple minutes ago and landed. And so we wanted to make sure we sent that out. Jennifer Vinton, again, if you want to send out a shout-out, even if somebody already went and you want to make sure that they get a shout-out here on the live stream, just tweet us and hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. This building is 17 stories tall, 222 feet. You can see the view there, Jimmy. It's just an absolutely incredible view. And I know you're not crazy about heights, but you went up on the roof, right?
I did
originally,
the first time, because I wanted to
walkthrough.
kind of prospect and see what everything looked like. So we can figure out where the camera was going to go, and I thought it was cool, but I don't know that I could be up there for extended periods of time. And actually, one of our students just came back from class, and he's going to replace Nina, who's coming back down. I know she loves that stuff, so I know she always wants to go up there. So
that's good.
I cannot deal with that.
No, yeah,
for long periods of time.
Right. That's why we have you in the control booth here.
That's right.
Where we need you,
both
commentating and running things.
So
Who do we have
that's
there?
Amanda Biggs.
Okay.
And if the schedule holds, Crystal Mehrenberg. Mehrenberg?
Mehrenberg is what I'm going with, until I'm told otherwise. Amanda is a stay-at-home mom. She has a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Oh, man.
Now, I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old at one point. I'm not sure I could have handled a 1-year-old, especially after we had a 3-year-old, with all due respect to my son Tyler, who I love very much.
Everybody was a 1-year-old at one point.
That's right, including me. As my mother, I'm sure.
But 135.
That's a lot.
That's a different story.
I have a neighbor who has a newborn, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Wow.
As we are handed the official stats here, 87 edgers. And that includes 6 media members, 81 people who went over. 51 were female, 36 were male. 39% of the people had gone over before. So we were right, Jimmy.
Yeah.
The majority, more than half, were first-time edgers. We have raised more than $133,000, and that's counting.
Yeah,
you know, people like the plunge. People will get donations, and we
Right.
hope, especially maybe through this live stream, they'll be encouraged to support their people a little bit more. We certainly appreciate what they've done. So now in the 6 years, we have raised $758,000. We've had 528 people go over the edge. So just an incredible effort by the edgers. Those who are first-timers, those who come back for a second year, and several who have come back year after year. Amanda Biggs is a second-year edger. She's excited to find out if it'll be more scared looking over the edge than last year. We've had mixed emotions about that. We have some people who say they're more relaxed, but we also have some people who say it really, the exhilaration is still there when you look over the edge.
And we still haven't gotten like a concrete answer on why, but it's an interesting. There's a look at Crystal. It's an interesting kind of thought that it's more difficult or more stressful second go around, but for some people, I guess it is.
Crystal Mehrenberg is employed by the Division of Gaming Enforcement, so she's part of the law enforcement for Special Olympics. She volunteers at several events. She's afraid of heights.
Yep.
So looking down probably won't be the best idea, she says, I'm sure, with a smile. She loves motorcycles. I imagine she did the Ride to the Tide, our motorcycle event that sold out last month with 1,000 riders. See the family members there, family and friends watching people come down. We've had to add bleachers over the years because the crowd, at one point, the crowd was starting to linger into the street, and that is an active street, as you can see the cars go by, and we decided the best way to eliminate people, and I was guilty of it, I was standing on a curb, and it only takes one step back and you're in the street, so we put the bleachers up, and it provides a barrier and as well as a place for people to sit. Crystal wanted to thank everyone at the Division of Gaming Enforcement. They were her biggest supporters, and Amanda wanted to thank her friends and family who generously donated. Amanda last year did the Polar Bear Plunge. She's also participated in a Savage race, which I assume is one of those cross-country, one of those. She's also done the mud run, so that's not what she's referring to. But aren't like those Savage races combined mud and
race,
stuff?
Yeah, there's obstacles and I don't want to say danger.
Right.
But you're crawling, you're diving, you're jumping.
Right.
Yeah. American Gladiators
exactly.
type of stuff,
And she recently ran the Caesarani half marathon as well. So this is probably, I would say, based on her list, the most daring thing that she's done. But she has certainly done some other things that I would consider are certainly adventurous in some cases and certainly worth a mention in others, like that half marathon. And here she comes. She's making her descent almost at the very end. And there's still a crowd outside. You can still hear the DJ in the background and free food out there. I don't know what's left. At one point, TD Bank was having soft pretzels, hot dogs, and water ice. They put on a nice show. One of the sponsors, the other sponsors being Brandywine Realty Trust and Newcastle County Fire Service. Again, $758,000 has now been raised in 6 years, $133,000 plus this year alone. 87 edgers, 51 females, 36 males. 39% are veteran edgers, and that is a high repeat customer rate. And we have one of the highest repeat customer rates in the country from what we're told. You can see Amanda Biggs there getting her equipment taken off. Must be her two children there. We mentioned she had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old. They're them right there. I imagine the 1-year-old is in somebody's arms, maybe in the bleachers, or home taking a nap, one of the two. So quite an accomplishment for anybody, certainly for a mom with 3 kids, one who was just born within the last year and a half or whatever, being 1 year old. So
I just counted and forgot. I think 11. 11 is the number. 11 edgers remaining.
11 less to go. This is Crystal Mehrenberg, correct?
Yep. Ruth Lavelle, Morgan Brandenburger, Nancy Gallagher, all on the way.
That's right. I'm looking at our list. We got the Wednesdays. The people did it on the back. I was thinking, geez, that looks like more than 11, but it's not when you cross off the people that did it yesterday.
I didn't even turn
you
it
got
over.
The other one.
There's a whole nother page.
Once again, Jimmy, it's we always start this at before 9 o'clock every year and think, okay, 8 hours from now we're still going to be on the air.
Yep.
And the time just seems it goes by fast.
The interviews very much help.
They do
because I know
it mixes it up.
I know you're a little more limber and able to handle it a little bit more. You haven't even really taken a break yet.
You let me. I broke for lunch. A quick lunch.
You didn't
quick
eat.
Lunch.
You brought us food. I don't think you ate.
No, I did grab a sandwich.
Okay, good.
My colleagues are listening who are probably laughing. I always make eating a top priority in anything that we do.
It's important.
It is. It keeps your energy level up.
That's right.
But no, it's been great. The first year we did this, I had no idea that you had on-air experience. And unfortunately, you showed your talents. Unfortunately for you, you showed your talents because now I've conned you into doing this each year with me, which makes it a heck of a lot different. And I like it, and I hope the listeners like it because you haven't done it,
right?
And I have, but yet we still joke back and forth, and we have a good time with it. And you certainly give a lot more insight into the broadcast and what goes into it, and understand that part of it, which I think the listeners, I don't think anybody can understand what goes into it who isn't part of it, and I still don't understand what goes into it other than I come in here and there's 6 computer screens all with a different picture and stats, and you're pulling this and that, and we go to commercial and with a click of a button and all that, and all I have to do is show up and talk to people, and that's the fun part of it. And so I can never thank you enough for making this as easy as possible.
Well, we appreciate this. I mean,
it's a pleasure.
I know we're not the only show in town, but
as far as I'm concerned, you are.
And I appreciate that. But I know it's another cool experience because it's not a game. So like making it interesting for a long period of time has a lot to do with what we're saying. But the camera angles and moving stuff around and I mean it's you got to be thinking, and I think it's a cool opportunity for our students to have in an event that's not a sport.
Right.
How do you cover an event?
Yeah.
So, I think this is a good experience for them. And it is kind of challenging because, a lot of the onus kind of lies on us to keep it interesting and have the interviews keep coming and make it enjoyable for those that are watching when they are watching, knowing they're not watching the whole time. But, the fact that they feel like their person got good coverage and their person was on camera and that emotion when they hit the ground, that's all really important. And,
yeah, I mean, it would be much easier for you to have this camera angle the whole time.
Just live
and
on
us
that,
and I talk, and you just punch the names in.
Yeah.
But I think that takes the fun out of it for the people watching it. And more importantly, the bottom line is for the people that are doing it. They're the ones that are paying the $1,100.
Yeah.
And now they've got keepsake. The ones who raise the $2,000, they get the personalized video, which is from start to finish. But what these folks have is an opportunity to see themselves from the time they lean over that edge up there, 17 stories high, until they get to the bottom. And, you've got the camera that has this angle. You've got the camera at the top catching them, which I still think is the best angle is when they're literally getting ready to sit back. And we've talked about that and agreed on that. And then the angle at the bottom where we get to see the festival.
This. Yeah. This is one of my favorites because when the family gets there and they're taking pictures, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens. Because you got to remember that, the people watching this are going to just eat up every one of those moments.
Right.
And so, being able to be there and capture them is fun. So, Crystal's kicking the side of the building there. But, is it hard to broadcast people rappelling down a building for 8 hours? Absolutely. Technologically and then on your and I's part. But I think it's really important because these people raised $1,100, which is not something to sneeze at. That's a mortgage payment, easy for certain houses.
Sure.
And so, to do that and then have this kind of payoff, so to speak, where this memory lives on forever as part of this broadcast, we're really, really, again, honored to be a part of it. And I'm so excited that we didn't take the easy way out.
Right.
And we can only make it better. But to still hear that we're the only ones and we're kind of setting the bar, that's really special to all of us.
Yeah, it is neat, and it's we decided when we set out this that if we were going to do it, we were going to do it right, and cost wasn't going to be a factor, and people power wasn't going to be a factor, and we knew the work that you had done with the university, and so it's been a wonderful partnership, and it certainly makes our life easier knowing that you've done it before and you've got that experience, and so it's easy
the first year
to come
was
into.
Really scary because we run cable and it's normally linear and it's on the ground. It's not down the side of the building. And, this year we actually ran 2 cables down the side of the building just to make sure if something were to happen. So, it's an interesting process, and the techs have been great. I mean, because we're the only ones, they've never had additional cables run that are just chilling on the side of the other cables.
Right. Crystal Mehrenberg has landed, and we're getting word of who is coming down next.
Morgan and Ruth were the names that I got.
Brandenburger and Ruth Lavelle. are coming down next. Ruth Lavelle, if that name rings a bell, she is the wife of Senator Greg Lavelle, and their son is a Special Olympics athlete. She has done this for 5 years now, as she pointed out, surpassing my husband Greg Lavelle's record of 4. So a little jab at Greg
there you go.
if he's listening. Again, if you want to give a shout out here, it's hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. Send us a tweet, and we will be sure to get that up there. And
we're at 2,700 individuals now.
So 1,000 more than watched
to be,
last year.
On over 1,000.
And,
so I think we'll hit 300 or 3,000 for sure.
And we thank the people that tuned in, certainly. And we had some large groups tune in. Yep. The entire company at Discover was watching it on their monitors or computers, whatever they do.
Now, what I ask people, though, I know they probably watched on one machine.
Mm-hmm.
Watch on as many machines as possible, because that drives the number up.
That's right.
Yeah, we had some schools. Discover was great.
Del Tech, the whole campus was watching on their
that was when
things.
we were in the 200s of people watching at one time.
Well, and that was probably 200 classrooms. It could have been 200 classrooms as well. Or not 200. I don't know if they have 200 classrooms, but, there were a lot of different people.
Yeah, the number of Ustream calls it concurrent viewers, which is a good way to describe it. How many people are watching at one time?
Right.
Was up in the 250s at that point when Del Tech was going down. So now we're hovering around 100. But for the whole day, 2,700 people to be able to tune in and watch, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is neat. And there is, I believe that's Greg. That is Greg Lavelle's son, Greg and Ruth Lavelle's son, who is here to watch Ruth. I'm not sure. I assume Greg is not here, or he would probably be going down. We'll see here. They're going to allow their son to come in and be an honorary rope holder, as we've termed them throughout the day here. And that's exciting for him. I believe he attends Springer Middle School and participates in the Special Olympics program there. That is Morgan UC. She works at the Mary Campbell Center, which is a residential facility for children and adults. Actually, it's the adults who live there, but they do have children programming with physical and intellectual disabilities. She coaches soccer, bowling, basketball, swimming, and track and field for the Wilmington Wizards with the Mary Campbell Center. So she's in the youth program there, and that is Ruth Lavelle on your left as you were looking there. Morgan is a first-timer. Ruth, as I mentioned, going down for the 5th time. Morgan says she's always wanted to do this. She has been to the First Flight Adventure Park Ropes course in Nags Head, North Carolina. So she has done some things up in the air, but it's safe to say that ropes course was not 17 stories up in the air. So this will be a first for her as far as that goes. That whitewater rafting point comes up again. Ruth Lavelle has done that. Probably done it in a real forest or maybe the Arctic, like Steve and
Stacey.
Stacey, thank you. Her name escaped me for a minute there. So I haven't done the polar bear plunge yet, since I find rappelling down 17 stories far more sane. And that brings me to a point I was going to make, and I got sidetracked there for a second. Unlike the polar bear plunge, which obviously is our largest event, both in money raised. We raise over $750,000 a year in that, and have almost 4,000 people. That event is not daring. People would say it's crazy. You run in the ocean when it's cold, but you're not doing this. You're not rappelling down the side of the building. And my point being, when you mentioned the great shots of people hugging at the bottom after they rappel, I don't see anybody hugging anybody when they come out of the ocean. Really. It's a lot of screaming. Yeah. It's have you ever seen it? I know you haven't done it.
I saw some of the video from when our football team went.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I've just seen some of kind of the overhead shots of just how many people.
And,
that's impressive. But you're right. The emotion. I mean, really, the emotion's like one thing. It's just, I don't like this. This is, there's multiple things. There's layers to this.
Yeah.
There's a sequence of emotions, so to speak.
And you get people who, I'm not sure if we even did the polar bear plunge on an individual basis and did a live stream, as many people would tune in to watch somebody run in the ocean. Because the thrill is not, it's a thrill because you're running in the ocean when it's cold. It's very fast. Yeah. To me, this is a much more made for television event because we've made it that way. But I think at the bottom, and we've noticed that, Marian Evans, who went over for the 6th time today, she got hugs when it was all over.
Right.
It's kind of like hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
I've never been congratulated for doing the polar bear plunge, and I've done it 25 times.
Right.
It is a thrill, and it is something that's not normal to run in the ocean. But it is just it's a different experience than rappelling 17 stories down here. As you see, Matthew Lavelle is his name.
Yep.
Cheering on his.
Yeah, like you don't get that shot at the
No,
polar bear
exactly,
plunge.
right.
Everybody's bundled up somewhere
Right.
else. Like, all right, go.
As great of an
See
event
ya.
as it is, right? I mean, the official towel holders, my wife
Yep.
being one of them for our 2 kids, she's there to hold a towel. And
Yep.
it's not a, hey, great job, congratulations. Right. It's, get warm real quick
Right.
and let's get dressed. Whereas if they were rappelling, and I imagine my 2 boys will rappel at some point. Again,
Yep.
you have to be 18 years old.
Yep.
We talked about that earlier, so they're a ways away. But my guess is at some point they will, and they will continue the family tradition, and maybe your 1-year-old daughter will rappel sometime, Jimmy.
Maybe, because
Dad's not.
Dad's not. Right. Someone's gonna need to. You know what I noticed too? And I was there's been no Smiths today.
Maybe it's the name.
Yeah, I mean
Maybe it's the name. Smiths just don't like to
we're
rappel
just,
down
yeah,
the side
that's
of a
right. We
building.
don't. So that's what I was going to say. That might be a family thing, but it might just be a whole Smith thing. 'Cause I don't see anybody else doing it.
So again, if you're tuning in for the latter part here, we're probably going to be on the air for another hour, I would say. This is the live stream of the 2016 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. Our numbers, we've raised over $133,000. 87 people went over total. 6 of them are members of the media, 81 what we call traditional edgers. 59% of them are females, 41% males, and as we guessed, the majority of people were first-timers, but we did have 39% of the people have done it before, whether this is their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 4 people who did all 6 of these events. In the 6-year history, we've raised more than $758,000 and had 520 people go over the edge. So there's no question that this event has become one of the most significant fundraisers, not only for Special Olympics Delaware, of which it is, but also in the state of Delaware. And so an event that we hope that continues to grow. Right now with 2 ropes, we would cap it at 100 people from a time standpoint. Obviously, you can't start a whole lot earlier than 9 o'clock, and we're going to be approaching the 5 o'clock hour before it's done, and that's without any delays or anything like that. So if we got to 125 people, we would add a 3rd rope, and that would be, a different experience. It would be a whole new adventure, but that is our hope with our anchor events, of which we consider this one and the polar bear plunge the other, is to we always look at, we want to raise, you want to bring in more money because money drives the program. Yep. Obviously, passion drives the program, volunteers drive the program, but how good your program is, no matter how you slice it, depends on the amount of money that you have to spend on it. And we're very fortunate, Special Olympics is, to have these 2 anchor events. But to continue to grow in the ways that we want to and bring in more and more athletes, I mentioned in 1 year we've brought in 300 more athletes than we had last year. Well, those athletes require more uniforms, more equipment, and that requires more money. And so when we have events like this, as you see Ruth Lavelle getting ready to touch down in the landing area and meet her son Matthew. Matthew looks like he's happy to see Mom land. He's got the rope, the official honorary rope member there, holder. And there is Morgan Brandenburger, who came down with Ruth Lavelle. Morgan, I believe Matthew goes to the Mary Campbell Center. He's part of that youth program, and I think that's where Morgan has helped coach him in Special Olympics. But back to my point about raising more money, we always talk about that, but the way you raise more money is you get more polar bears and you get more people to go over the edge, and the way you get them to do those fundraising events is you get them to buy into the program. And we talk about this in our office all the time, that if I'm committed to the program first, then I will do things to help support the program from a money standpoint and participate in events like this. And that's why, as Larry Maester, a member of our board who was on, he oversees the building here, said, we're always looking for more coaches Sure, do we like to have experienced coaches? It certainly helps. But we have a training program in place. A lot of the coaches that are involved in Special Olympics now started out with little or no coaching experience. If you don't have any coaching experience and you want to be a coach, you start out as an assistant coach, like in any other sports organization. There's hundreds of youth sports coaches every year that start coaching with no coaching experience, and they gradually gain that experience, and Special Olympics is no different. And so we encourage you to support Special Olympics from a volunteer standpoint, because that's where it all begins. And then ultimately it turns into support in other ways, like Morgan and Ruth have just gone over the edge here, 17 stories for Special Olympics. Got 2 more people ready to hop up. If you want more information about Special Olympics, go to SODE.org. There's a blue volunteer button at the top. If you want more information about this event, there's a banner there. You can't miss it. The live stream will be up and posted tomorrow, as will a final list of edgers. If you want to see exactly who went over, we understand most of you that are tuned in now probably just tuned in, and as soon as you see whoever goes you're on to see go over, you're probably going to tune out, and that's what this broadcast is all about. We've had over, what are we at, 2,700 people?
Yeah,
that have tuned in?
2,749.
And so we're rapidly approaching the 3,000 people mark, which is well beyond the 1,800 that tuned in last year, which we thought was phenomenal to have 1,800 people tune in to see 80-plus people go over the edge. It's just incredible. So thank you for tuning in. And again, spread the word. Help us spread the word. If you want to shout out to somebody, send us a tweet and use the hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE, and we'll be sure to get that out. Networks of NEPA, what gracious host. Thanks, SO Delaware. Here's Wilmington Police Chief getting ready for his rappel. That's from the NeighborWorks NEPA. Just sent us a tweet, so thank you for that. And there is Morgan and Ruth. Morgan Brandenburger, Ruth Lavelle, and then the Lavelle's son, Greg. So Ruth has officially done this now 5 times, surpassing her husband, Greg. The 2 of them did it together for 4 years, and she did it without him this year, and I wanted to boast about that. There is Greg right there. So, like I said, he has done it before, so must be a reason he didn't, but we appreciate the Lavelle's continued support. Another example of a family realizing the value of our program to their children and their family members. So we are glad about that. Coming up, Nancy Gallagher, Vinbai Jamba, Chiara Gravel, Paige Spittinger, Joanna Suter, Heather Cannon Bell, Joseph Hayes, and Marissa Hammond, Special Olympics athlete, will be the last one to rappel today. So we're winding down here. Is this Chiara Gravel?
Chiara Gravel, yep.
And she was scheduled to go at 3:40, and so we are probably about 10 minutes behind schedule. But
we've slowly gotten that
catching back
yeah.
up. So we're in good shape here, and don't have any biographical information on Chiara. What we do is we send an email out, and Corinne Plummer gathered all this, which of course we hope only adds to the broadcast, and we appreciate her doing that. But in some cases, people don't give us information for one reason or another, and that's fine. But that's why if you tuned in to hear a couple people go over, we give you more information about some people and not so much about others. Once in a while, I don't have information, but I know the people, and that's easy to do. Chiara, you can see, is pulling on that left lever as she disappears here, and that's the control lever on her left hand. She locked up there, so what you're going to see is you're going to see her push the handle forward, I believe. Maybe she's not locked up. Maybe she just stopped. And if you lock up, and what I mean by lock up is if you start going too fast, whether at the start or in the middle or even at the end, it will lock up. It's a safety precaution so that you don't go faster than you should, and then you just unlock the gear by pushing forward. That gets you going, and then pulling it back. So this is Chiara Gravel going, and we just got word Nancy Gallagher is next. Nancy is she might be the tallest person going over today. Wow. You can see she's a former basketball player. I believe she played at Stockton State College, and I think she also might have played overseas. She's one of the people we've been blessed to have involved in the organization as a board member and committee member and a lot of things. But primarily, I think she would tell you her most valuable role is as a coach, because she knows the sport of basketball, and she's brought that. And I remember early on her saying, these Special Olympics athletes aren't any different than any of the other kids I coach or any of the other adults that I coach. They're basketball players,
Yep.
and we need to coach them like basketball players and teach them the game of basketball like basketball players. And she's a firm believer of that. She runs the Nancy Gallagher Basketball Academy. It's something she does. She's retired from MBNA, and she's heading down. She has gone a couple times, I know, before. She didn't fill that information out, but I know. Oh, yeah, it is her 4th year. She's got a 2-page. So some people we don't get any information from. Other people we get 2 pages, which I would expect nothing but that from Nancy. Nancy's also got some experience. And actually, I guess she was retired from MBNA, but now she is back with Bank of America. She's a senior vice president for global technology and operations. So she is back working full-time for the Bank of America. That is Chiara that you see in your picture right now. So Nancy, just to summarize what she does, here in Delaware, she's on the board of directors. She is the sports commissioner or sports director for basketball. She's a member of our summer games committee. She is also one of these people, if we need her to do something at Fall Festival, she would jump out and do it in a heartbeat. She's been to the 1999 World Games as a volunteer. She has done several things with Project Unify. She's been part of the USA Games in Princeton. I was part of the group that went out there, headed up by Gary Samaglia, a member of our staff who headed up the flag football venue in New Jersey back in 2014 for the games. So she's done that. She's done just about everything you can do in Special Olympics. I believe she's been a unified partner at one point as well. And she, of course, talks about the athletes and why it is so critical to raise money for them. She is another person, doesn't have a sibling, doesn't have a relative who is in Special Olympics. And so she was looking forward this year. What a complete rush this is. It's a unique way to raise money to engage the community, which we've done, as we've shown, with over 3,000 people tuning in. We assume many of you know about Special Olympics, but hopefully those of you that have tuned in who don't have a little bit more of an appreciation of what Special Olympics is all about and why people are willing to do that. Nancy wanted to thank her supporters. Big and small, every donation makes a difference. Proud of her employer, Bank of America, which are a sponsor of Special Olympics, and proud and grateful for her teammates' support. And by teammates, I assume she means they're in the bank. I hope they have the opportunity to tune in via the live streaming today. So if you are an employee at Bank of America and you are tuned in to support Nancy Gallagher, we certainly thank and appreciate you for that. And help us spread the word. There are people who, we've already gotten a couple people who watched this for the first time, Scott Selheimer of the U of D being one of them, who said, I'm in for next year. He watched his wife come down, and Jimmy, you'll remind him of that every day at work, I assume, for
I will.
the next 364 days.
He actually, a couple weeks ago, he was like, you guys doing it again? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because, we don't talk about this.
Things, right?
And he said, Amy's going over the edge. I just wanted to make sure that you were going to have it on the stream. And I said, absolutely. And so he came in here and was checking out the stream setup. But I'm sure he'll do it next year, and I'll have all the blackmail I need for forthcoming.
That's right. You have access to this broadcast.
Yes.
You could even probably, I'm sure, clip out him making the commitment and just play it over and over.
Yeah, I have that.
That would be funny.
If push comes to shove, like you said, to him, we have it.
That's right. No, he seemed pretty excited about it, pretty committed to it.
He'll do it.
Yeah, I think he'll have fun doing it. He'll enjoy it. Nancy Gallagher there coming down, all 6'2", maybe even 6'3". Of her, and she is every bit of that, I can tell you. She's a member of our board of directors, as I mentioned, and we get to see her in person quite a bit. A very committed individual of the organization, has done this now for the 4th year of this. And there's not too many Special Olympics events, our big ones especially, that we have that she is not involved in one way or the other. So when she lands, still to come, Paige Schmittinger, Joanna Suter, Heather Cannon-Bell, Joseph Hayes, and Special Olympics athlete Marissa Hammond, who will be the 3rd Special Olympics athlete to go over the edge. Jonathan Stocklosa was the first several years ago. Chris Truno went last year, and Marissa Hammond will be going this year. And we hold the Special Olympics athletes to the same standards as everyone else. They have to raise $1,100 if they want to go over the edge. So it's not something that they expect to be able to do because they are Special Olympics athletes. They realize that the commitment